Ethan hasn't gone full MAGA, although he has made some reactionary points. Like he berated one of his producers, Olivia, for pronouns.
Show it to me.
He called her woke, if I'm remembering correctly. So
I feel like if you're going to do the thing where you put clips on the screen to prove your events, which you've done multiple times in this first 3 minutes, why would you not do that one?
I have clarification on it.
Okay.
Apparently Bobby has said repeatedly they use all pronouns.
This guy's talking about how Ethan Klein is moving closer to Trump because he called Olivia too woke for using the right pronouns. And then when you watch the clip, which I showed you, it's Ethan literally just like, I think that this non-binary person goes by all pronouns, and the chat's yelling at him. And so Ethan was calling the chat too woke for chastising him when he was still trying to be respectful. Wow, incredible stuff. Love the context. Let's get this party started, guys. I wasn't going to do any more Ethan-Hasan stuff, you know what I mean? It's time to do other more fun things. But then somebody sent this and be like, oh, this might be a good watch. So I started watching it here and there. I parsed through it. Big word. Somebody put it in the Discord, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to talk about this. This is like a little bit silly to me. It's a little bit of a silly thing I'm seeing here. So I want to just watch some silly stuff. And you know what? I could use the money. Pretty cool stuff, man. So let's just go. And it's from the Humanist report. It's about Ethan Klein and I guess the Young Turks, which I don't care about. So
there's something kind of scary brewing in America. Communism.
You know, I will say that probably wasn't the right. Personally, I think he was just kind of memeing about the communism thing a little bit. You know, probably didn't optically help. That's the start of the video. I think a lot of people probably going to eye roll that, but then be like, okay, this guy really thinks communism is like a huge threat. It's not good. Communism is not good, but it's not like this huge threat right now. You know what I'm saying? So, although I guess we just looked up, we are social democrats. We believe in maintaining capitalism, but having a better tax structure for better, more robust welfare programs. Hasan is a democratic socialist who believes in transitioning us to communism. So I guess maybe there's a good point there, but I just feel like distinction doesn't matter. So also words are cringe, right? All right.
you heard that right. The scary thing that's brewing right now in America is...
I did just watch about 15 seconds of an hour and 37-minute video. You heard it right, baby.
Communism, not fascism. Even though the fascists are in full control of our government and they're crippling institutions and dismantling the administrative state as we speak.
True, and they're tweeting on Twitter and getting politicians to change their minds. That's true. Here's my thing, man. I think that it's reasonable to say that you can criticize more than one thing. Just because the right is worse doesn't mean we can't say, hey, the left is not good right now. Especially since they have a personal beef that really started over the fact that Hasan wouldn't stop his audience from calling Ethan a baby genocider. That's really what it comes down to. Like, the whole thing is Hasan, because I'm too terminally online, bro. I know too much about this. Hasan just wouldn't stop. Hasan didn't think Ethan was being a bad person with his take on Israel, which is that it deserves a right to exist, but but Netanyahu is a war criminal that needs to be like jailed. That's the take. Hasan didn't think that he meant poorly by it, but he wouldn't stop his audience from bullying Ethan with horrific things, saying horrific things to him. All he had to do is be like, guys, tone it down, or I'm going to have to temporarily ban you from Discord or Reddit or something. This is my friend, supposedly. That's what this all came from. This doesn't really come from a difference in political opinion. It comes from the fact that, like, he wouldn't defend his friend. And it's like, from just getting harassed and saying horrible things being said about him, like he should take his own life. That's crazy, right? That's all he had to do. You know, and Ethan was in a more vulnerable state because, you know, October 7th had just happened. He's an Israeli person. A bunch of people were just massacred. Hasan is not in an emotionally vulnerable state. Remember, he doesn't really care about anything he talks about. Like we said, like, he's very okay with Muslims getting, re-educated in China in those camps. He doesn't seem to care. He likes to downplay it as much as possible. So that's pretty much it, man. That's where all this started off. So I think it's okay for Ethan to be like, hey, Hasan's kind of an asshole. And then you add in the other stuff like the putting terrorists on your stream and terrorist propaganda. They do have good music. Okay? I can respect a banger. But that is what's happening. It's not really a good thing. And it's actually against Twitch's TOS. So
the real threat is actually communism.
Also, yeah, communism does lead to fascism. Listen, you don't need communism or capitalism to do a fascism. You just need to have fun, guys. You just need to have fun. And just try to take people and fucking ruin their lives. And it's just one of these anything can be used as a tool of control. right? Communism can be used as a tool of control. Capitalism can be used as a tool of control to lead to fascism. Okay? Jerkmate can be used as a tool of control. Hot goth moms, maybe even dad. I've never seen a goth dad before. I feel like Coraline's dad would be like a goth dad. Does that make sense? I don't know why I feel that way. Anything could be used as a tool of control. So...
yeah, makes sense. Now, in case you don't know who that is, it's comedian Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast.
He looks so sad here.
And even though he tried to say that in a funny way, I promise you, he wasn't trying to do satire. It's what he unironically believes. Now, I don't know how...
see, that I don't know necessarily if that... I don't know. Maybe? Kind of? I don't know.
how familiar my...
I think that maybe he does believe that, but this idea that he thinks that communism is worse than what's going on in our government... that's kind of silly. I think you're doing a lot of legwork by saying that if Ethan thinks communism is bad, and what you're trying to do is you threw on another narrative onto there that he thinks communism is worse than what's going on in the White House right now, and I think that's ridiculous. You're doing a lot of legwork for a 5 second clip in the beginning of your video, to be honest with you.
audience is with Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast, but if you aren't familiar with him, I know that you've at least probably seen this incredible moment that he helped to facilitate.
I'm so excited to see it.
Oh no, Sam Cedar! What a
Whoa,
fucking
Sam
nightmare.
Cedar!
I had no idea this was going to happen.
Surprise Jewish guy.
Oh no, Sam Cedar!
And now it's all come full circle.
Oh no, I have to abuse my wife because she doesn't want to, clean cat poop up, which is apparently toxic to the pregnant women. And oh, by the way, she's pregnant. Oh,
Because Ethan Klein is now the one who refuses to talk to Sam Cedar, much like Cenk Uygur of TYT, who's also currently crashing out like Ethan Klein.
yeah. Cenk Uygur and Annika Sperry are the two biggest losers I've ever seen. I remember watching some clip. Maybe I'll even look for it. It was this clip of the two of them having this performative conversation that was basically desperate to guzzle Trump supporters. Maybe I'll try to find it. I can't find it. Sorry, guys. But yeah, they're pathetic. Like, they've decided that they desperately want to have any audience at, whatever possibility. And so they're guzzling right-wingers right now. It's pathetic.
And as Jimmy Dore slid
Did Sam actually say, keep me out of this? That's funny.
further to the right a couple of years ago, he too refused to debate Sam Cedar. So it feels like Sam Cedar has become the de facto final boss of grifters and crash outs because...
Well, my understanding is Sam wants to be left out of it, but I don't know. But I think there's a little bit of a difference. And the difference here is that Hasan wants Ethan to talk to Sam because Sam is one of the good Jews to Hasan. And Ethan's like, listen, I have my own perspective. Again, this is because Hasan wouldn't stop Hasan wouldn't stop his audience from assaulting Ethan with horrific things like, you're a baby killer and you should take your own life. When Hasan even said himself that he didn't think Ethan meant poorly by what he was talking about. It was just a very sensitive time because this was around October 7th and tensions were really high and there was a lot of upset energy, and that's totally normal. And Ethan or Hasan wouldn't just try to help his friend by saying, guys, you need to chill out right now or I'm going to have to temporarily ban you. I don't even know how to communicate. Like, that's just wrong. There's a reason that you have friends. They've been doing a podcast for like 2 years before that. God forbid you tell your audience to chill out, especially since Hasan has begged other people to control their audience when it comes to them saying mean things about him. And so there's a pretty deep level of hypocrisy there. It's really not that, but okay.
They know that he would easily expose their bullshit, hence why they avoid him like the fucking plague.
Well, what's the bullshit that you think needs to be exposed from Ethan?
But an existential fear of Sam Cedar is not the only thing that Ethan Klein and Cenk Uygur as well as Annika Sperry have in common. They've all been cheered on recently by the far right for punching left. Ethan...
Okay, and you want to know what? People, I'm sure there are people on the right that are cheering right now to other people on the far left, like Hasan, for hating Jewish people. Who cares? Like, who gives a fuck if Tim Pool, a literal worthless Russian propagandist, traitorous piece of shit, who frankly, in my day, I don't even know how he'd be around anymore. I'm just being honest with you. I can't believe conservatives are okay with traitors and treason. I really actually blows my fucking mind. I forgot. I mean, we're supposed to, not we, I'm not conservative at all, but conservatives are supposed to be the party of men, right? That don't let people they're supposed to be the daddies. Why is this guy still around? I'm not even fucking kidding. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But who cares if this idiot joined the good side, Ethan? What is that? The side making millions of dollars from Russia to push propaganda, you stupid piece of shit?
has been applauded by the likes of Tim Pool.
And yeah, the far right does not like Ethan. Ethan's Jewish. They don't like Jewish people on the far right at all.
and Keemstar and Ian Miles Chong, all for his smear campaign against his former co-host.
But it's not a smear campaign. Sorry.
Hasan Piker. Now, on the subject of
What's the
similarities
smear?
between the H3 and TYT crashouts, we also saw how the far-right showered Anna Kasparian with compliments for her birthing person tweet.
Dude, she's just an attractive blonde. Do you think conservatives are looking for the excuse to say that she's smart? Fox News is all attractive, like skinny blonde women. Skinny blonde white women, formerly attractive. They want to be like, I love Anna Kasparian. Especially now, the far righters are like, oh my god, we have AI now. We can put her head on someone's body and jerk off to it. That's what they're looking to do. So,
Ethan Klein also hates Hasan. Anna Kasparian,
yeah, me too.
she hates him too. Cenk doesn't, so he gets a little bit of a pass there because that's his nephew. Both TYT and H3.
Is his real nephew or is like a Turkish nephew? You know what I mean? And this is like, it's like a Hispanic thing too. It's like, oh, that's my cousin. It's not really their cousin. You know, it's a cousin's in energy. I respect that. But is that actually his actual like uncle, or is that just like uncle energy? You know what I mean? Which I understand. I get it. I respect it. I get it, but
are fueled by personal petty grievances and hurt feelings. Ethan and Cenk claim everybody else has changed while they're the ones who've remained consistent. In fact,
well, Ethan didn't say that he's remained consistent. What are you talking about? Ethan literally says that like he was duped by Hasan. What?
there's a lot of similarities between the H3 and TYT crashouts, but
Not really.
ironically, Ethan Klein is able to see what's happening at TYT, but he doesn't have the self-awareness to see that he's had a similar trajectory for the same reasons.
Speaking of which, have you noticed the co-host from
What similar trajectory? Disavowing Hasan? What?
the Young Turks, Anna, what's her last name, has gone like full Trump? And Cenk too. They've both gone like pro-Trump. It's so crazy.
Ethan looks like he would wear Cookie Monster pajamas right now. What the hell's going on with this hairdo?
Check it out. It's fucking weird.
They have?
Yeah.
Now, to clarify, Ethan hasn't gone full MAGA, although he has made some
I feel like you just made the... Okay.
reactionary points. Like he
Like what?
berated one of his producers, Olivia, for pronouns. I think
Oh, crazy. Show it to me?
he called her woke, if I'm remembering correctly. So, you know,
Oh. I feel like if you're going to do the thing where you put clips on the screen of like events to prove your events, which you've done multiple times in this first 3 minutes, why would you not do that one?
there's some groundwork there.
Also, like what pronouns? Pronouns, they're chill. I'm not a big fan of dear pronouns or zers, but like they, them, boy, girl, I'm chill with that. I just feel like you're... There's like a lot of just insinuations in this video. It's weak as fuck. What?
being laid for a right-wing pivot.
This is so weird. Okay, so this is apparently about Bo Blacks and their, I guess, non-binary identity or trans identity or whatever. I'm not 100% caught up on the lore. This is what this guy here was referring to.
It's like you were a fucking giant piece of shit to trans people, to gay people, to everybody on the internet. They were just
Which Bo Blacks can be, you know.
a total fucking dickhead his whole life. So like, bro needs to come to God a little more. You know what I mean? Like he's got some amends to make. You know, it's not like all of a sudden he's a great. Or sorry, where did Bobby say the pronouns is they? Because it seems like they've referring to themselves as a man here.
Usually neutral pronouns they them when someone
If somebody's
identifies as
non-binary, that's it's fair to assume. But I guess we're not.
I mean, he's.
They.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say he. He's referring to himself as a man in this tweet. And
It might be that they go by.
I feel like I came out as non-binary at the worst time. The worst way happened during a mental crisis. Gender diversity discourse online is the most volatile it's been, and my gender expression seems to be the least accepted type. Feminine with body hair. Frick. Well, where are they saying that they're a guy here? I don't know.
Everything.
I mean, if he's not specifically said like my pronouns are they them, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
This is what he's referring to. He's referring to Ethan being confused about what pronouns Bo Blacks is using now that they're identifying as like non-binary or something. And this is you portrayed this as yelling at Olivia over pronouns. Like how could you possibly take this guy seriously when this is the level of journalism that he's coming out here with? He's yelling at her about pronouns. He's such an evil right winger. And then it's him like, oh man, I'm so confused. Like I'm trying to use the right pronoun. It's all confusing. And it can be sometimes. I want to respect your pronouns. But like sometimes it can be confusing. Like, okay. What But what does he yell at? He yells at the chat. Keep watching.
Deal is it to be like I have to call him they them?
No, it's possible that it's not a big deal.
It's the safest and probably the most.
I feel totally comfortable calling him until he says otherwise.
Okay.
I feel that's respectful, and I'm treating him like a human being. And he says he wants to eventually be feminine with body and facial hair is the angle. I know I look 100% male right now. I don't know what's the pronouns, but until he's specified, then I don't see the need to.
What?
This is why I'm watching.
But anyway, I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, he was a giant piece of shit for a long time. So like, just because you're trans now doesn't mean you're a good person all of a sudden.
Dude, I'm 100% and with mental illness, and I have mental illness. The worst is like,
okay,
I was just diagnosed like a severely depressed. But what about the Nazi rally you were at last week? Are we like, well, with that now? If you're depressed, or like, you just ask?
But that being said, I have an open heart and an open mind. I'm way open to the Bobby redemption arc. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that I'm open to it. That's it. Yeah.
Again, as long as it sounds like God bless.
That's all we care about.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
You guys are so dumb and pathetic in the chat. Literally wait till he comes out and says like, you can call me he. Like literally wait till he says my pronouns he. You stupid fucking woke fucks. I'm being respectful.
No, it doesn't need to be more than it is.
Why are you assuming his pronouns?
Well, it's not. When
You're
you
assuming his
when you use
pronouns.
neutral
He hasn't clarified.
Okay. I'm assuming that this is the part we're referring to here.
Oh, when you use neutral, sorry.
Calm
when
down.
you use
No,
neutral
it's annoying
pronouns,
because people go.
the most respect.
By the way, you people in the chat who are like, "Oh, Ethan fucking is L being like transphobic." It's like you are presuming his pronouns. And by the way, why are you being so militant about it? How does that help anybody? I'm obviously being respectful, and I'm waiting for him to clarify. Like you guys are fucking wrong. And if you ever want other people outside of your bubble to ever be respectful and take like trans people and non-binary people seriously, you have to fucking stop being so pathetically ridiculous when people are trying in good faith to make an effort and be respectful. Like you guys are fucking wrong.
If I can chime in also with trans people that I personally know, this is not what they want. They just want to be treated respectfully. And as long like what Ethan was saying was totally respectful. So it really doesn't matter. We don't need to make such a big deal about like he or they until it's like he's saying it. We don't even know. He might be totally fine with it. The point is that the conversation we're having is totally respectful and promoting like accepting everything. So I don't understand why even go there.
That's like, it reminds me of this conversation like Kendrick Lamar.
Is this it? Is there anything else? This is it? This is the whole, like, he yelled at Olivia? Like,
on the Big Steppers, he had this track about how his aunt was trans and his coming to terms with this over the years. And he used derogatory language in that song as part of the story to show his transformation. And, like, people were like, oh, he's being homophobic, he's being transphobic because he said these words. It's like, can we...
Is there more that I need to watch here? Like,
please think a little fucking deeper than that? Can we please grow up? Like, he said the words in the context of a super fucking progressive song of inner exploration that was... And
this is it. That's it. This is what we're... Okay, so just want to be clear. This guy is talking about how Ethan's saying that Olivia's too woke over pronouns and blah, 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 and yelling at her. Well, that's not what we just actually watched. We just watched Ethan. And by the way, my understanding is Bo Blacks uses all pronouns, so it doesn't even matter. Ethan's like, oh, I think Bo Black still uses he, and he's referring to himself as he, so I'm just going to call him he. Until he makes a clarification of what he actually prefers, which apparently is any pronoun. And he was yelling at the chat, calling them woke, and then I guess doing this fucking crazy face. I'm just where I paused. Because they were chastising him, despite the fact that he was being respectful. That's it? Like, I don't understand. There's more. What more is there? What?
Please.
And I think it should be obvious to all of us. The problem is, like, let's say Eva. We already know she's a she and she goes by Eva. If you're on purpose not calling her she now, which is what she wants, then yeah, you're being transphobic, you know, because you're like not respecting her wishes now.
The second that Bobby is like, I'm go by she or they, then obviously I'm gonna do my best to respect the pronouns, you know. But it's not obvious to me that that's the situation. I didn't mean to apologize. People are saying I yell at you, Olivia. I didn't mean to yell at you. I get so annoyed when I'm like, I'm here doing the right thing. I feel like I'm doing my best here. And then the chat is like losing their fucking mind over something that is so ridiculous. Like you are missing the forest for the trees. And also, I don't know that they're fucking even right. Like, I'm not assuming his pronouns.
I have clarification on it.
Okay.
Apparently, Bobby has said repeatedly they use all pronouns. They don't care.
That's it. So what?
Oh, okay, cool. So I don't understand what the problem is here. Wait, what this guy? Okay, what else is there? You guys keep telling me that I need to watch more.
So like, there's not a trans person in this room. Bobby doesn't care about what pronouns you use for him. And you guys are in the chat shouting at how I'm wrong. Like, how pathetic are you? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not assuming his pronouns. And fuck all these people. Go ahead.
No,
and I'm not yelling at you. I'm just...
Wait for what? What am I waiting for? What else clarification is there? This is like the biggest non-issue here.
Anyway, that's how we do it around here, guys. 1 minute, 30 seconds left.
Oh my god.
Oh, we never even got to talk more about housewives. There's so much more.
I know, that was so much more fun.
There's so much more. I'm gonna light myself on fire in front of you guys.
More fun than this.
Yeah, I always fuck up the vibes, but I feel like, goddamn, it's just so ridiculous. You know?
When's the new drop? Right after this?
You got the timer right above your head.
I'm literally...
Where is it?
Is it really a timer?
Yeah, there's a timer. Or look at the...
There's nothing else. We got it. We got everything. I don't care. That's it. Okay, so just to be clear, because you guys told me to keep watching with zero added context, this guy's talking about how Ethan Klein is moving closer to Trump because he called Olivia too woke for using the right pronouns. And then when you watch the clip, which I showed you, despite the fact that this guy shows every clip of everything so far, he just left that one out. It's Ethan literally just like, I think that this non-binary person, which is Boblacks for people who know who that is, goes by all pronouns, and the chat's yelling at him. He's like, no, you can use I think that you could use anything, and until they clarify, I'm going to use he respectfully. And then turns out he uses all pronouns anyway. And so Ethan was calling the chat too woke for chastising him when he was still trying to be respectful. But apparently that's him being an evil MAGA guy. Wow, incredible stuff. Gotta love it. Love the context.
Wittingly or unwittingly, but Ethan Klein is incapable of seeing that minor disagreements with the left and an inability to accept good faith criticism is ultimately what broke Cenk and Anna's brains.
What's the good faith criticism that you're trying to give to Ethan? I don't understand.
And it's the exact same thing that broke his brain too.
What?
But he hasn't changed, apparently. He's not.
This guy's a fucking loser.
Grifting. The real grifter is his left-wing co-host who mildly criticized him.
This guy's actually worse than Hasan when it comes to like weirdly clipping shit out of context. Hasan's entire response to Ethan's, expose on him was to watch other people's clips of Ethan out of context and go, "See, Ethan's bad." This guy's terrible. This guy's terrible. This guy's guzzling. Oh my God! It must be so easy to exist in like a bubble where like you could say whatever you want as long as it aligns with what your dumb asshole audience thinks, and just it doesn't matter. Like this is so lazy. This is insane.
To show you what I mean, so in the same clip that we just watched, Ethan Klein accused Hasan Piker of being the one to pull a Dave Rubin, albeit a reverse Dave Rubin.
Whoa!
I think he did like what
like a sandwich
Dave Rubin did, but like the other direction. He realized that like he could farm more audience going that direction, and Dave Rubin thought, well, I can farm more audience going to the right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Hasan Piker is the Steven Crowder of the left, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Doesn't seem.
This guy has a podcast with Illuminati. Does he really? Well, Illuminati's a scumbag. No, isn't she a fucking terrible person? I wouldn't doubt it.
Be coming from a very
always
serious
been
place.
left leaning though. Dave Rubin did like a full flip. Like Dave Rubin was left to right.
By the way,
yeah. See, even his producer Dan didn't agree with him because it's laughably fucking stupid.
It's so interesting that your biggest criticism of Ethan is that he surrounds himself with people who disagree with him, and he's okay with that. But apparently, he's gonna go shift full right wing when his literal people that he pays for on his podcast are openly allowed to disagree with him, and they don't get punished. So that's pretty cool. That's a really interesting thing you show. Hey, guys, Ethan for hiring people more left-leaning than him to make sure he doesn't go too far right. Ew. What the fuck?
But it's not lost on me that Cenk Uygur likened his new nemesis, Sam Cedar, to the likes of Jimmy Dore and Dave Rubin as well.
Cenk Uygur is a loser who's been a loser for a long time, who just yells and screams and pretends that he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Even though he's the one that's
runs in the family, I think.
On that trajectory with those people.
So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, fuck it. Here's who's doing it, and fuck them, right?
Fuck them, dude.
And then everybody's like, oh, no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Sam Cedar. I know. Poor Sam.
Interesting, right?
Not really. Anytime anyone has ever showed me Cenk Uygur, it's never been interesting.
So there's a lot of similarities between
more like Cenk me off.
H3's crash out and TYT's crash out. But even though
you're really trying hard to draw this parallel here, it's not working.
Cenk and Anna might bitch and moan about criticism that they get from the left, they have never gone so far as to call for leftists to be deplatformed because of their disagreements.
Twitch is allowing a large content creator to pull a literal Houthi terrorist onto their platform, as well as play literal terrorist propaganda on their platform with zero pushback. There is no pushback question of Hasan of like, hey, do you think some of the things that you're doing is wrong? Or can you give me the story of how you got here and why you're doing this? It's, hey, what do you think of One Piece? Twitch does deserve to get demonetized. I don't know what you want, or excuse me, the advertisers that pay Twitch deserve to know what's on their platform. Okay. I agree with that.
And that right there is where Ethan Klein stands out as the biggest piece of shit in this situation.
Okay.
Because he's launched an all-out campaign to deplatform Hasan Piker. We're not just talking about him disagreeing with Hasan Piker and criticizing Hasan Piker.
Okay, well, if you put terrorists on your platform, you should be deplatformed. Just like, what's that ugly fucking bald gnome piece? It's just name. Tim Pool. Him too. He's a literal, he's a piece of shit too for like Russian propaganda. Good.
He is trying to destroy Hasan Piker, his former friend and
he's just showing people what Hasan's saying. How is that destroying him?
Co-host. But I want to back up a little bit and give you some additional context, so that way we're all on the same page. Because again, I'm not sure how much of my audience is familiar with Ethan Klein.
I don't think you're familiar with him either, to be absolutely real. I think you just know that he doesn't like Hasan now, so he's a bad guy.
But I want you to know how it got to this point. So after October 7th, both Ethan and Hasan seem to be on the same page for the most part.
Yeah, they are, for the most part. I think their only disagreement is that Ethan believes in a two-state solution, which is the right take, and then Hasan doesn't, because it's stupid and makes no sense. These two groups of people, Israelis and Palestinians, cannot live together right now. There needs to be a strong border facilitated by allies on both sides, and there needs to be reparations towards Palestine. Right, there needs to be like land given back in different ways. The specifics are complicated, and I'm not going to pretend to know, but that's what generally needs to happen for this to move on. So, yeah, and Ethan, I guarantee you, believes like every single thing that I just said. Also, Netanyahu's a war criminal who fires people around him that advocate for peace and to try to bring an end to the constant bombardment of Gaza in such a massively disproportionate way that it is literal genocide. Right? Ethan would agree with everything that I just said, but somehow he's the bad guy because he just thinks Israel should exist. That's it. That's the hottest take of the century, guys. It's not, by the way.
But soon after, some disagreements began to emerge. Ethan Klein supported a two-state solution, whereas Hasan supported a one-state solution.
A one-state solution just never is going to be practical. That's why.
Ethan Klein made comments.
Can you give us a comment on what you think is the right solution? Because there is an obvious one that works, and there's an obvious one that does not work.
That were tone-deaf and, frankly, idiotic and offensive.
Like what?
By claiming that Jewish Voice for Peace wasn't sufficient evidence of Jewish opposition to Israel.
What?
And he invoked capos to make that point. And the audience did not like that. Now, at that point...
What are you talking about? I'm sorry. What?
Jewish voice that were tone deaf, whereas Hasan supported a one-state solution.
Which is a fucking idiot, yeah.
Ethan Klein made comments that were tone deaf and, frankly, idiotic and offensive by claiming that Jewish Voice for Peace wasn't sufficient evidence of Jewish opposition to Israel. And he invoked...
Oh, sorry. I think what he's trying to say is that Jewish people wanting peace doesn't mean they'll be okay with a one-state solution, which is obviously true. What?
Capos to make that point.
What?
And the audience did not like that. Now, at that point, he ended the Leftovers podcast with...
Wait, show me a clip. What are you talking about?
Hasan because of the pushback that he thought he was receiving from Hasan's community.
He was being told to kill himself and that he was a baby genocider. So, yeah, that's a pretty significant pushback. And his friend wouldn't stop them from saying that. So, yeah, no shit, idiot. What are you talking about? What?
Specifically, but it wasn't just his community. It was Ethan's community, too. I know this because I've been a part of Ethan's community longer than I've been a part of Hasan's community.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. It's so boring to listen to people lie about how they're like a big Ethan fan, and because this is what you're supposed to think. Oh, he's an Ethan fan, so he knows about what's going on. No, you don't. I'm fucking terminally online. I've made a career out of covering what's going on with Ethan Klein. That's one of the things that I do amongst other things. Okay, let's be real. I'm not happy to admit it. It kind of sounds pathetic, but you want to know what? That's what I've chosen to do, and honestly, I like it. It's fun. It's fucking brain rot. I don't care. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You're not a Fallen fan. These people pretend to be Fallen fans so they could say, "Hey guys, I know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of credibility. I know exactly what's going on." And then they consistently misrepresent what's going on. He just did it before with the whole pronouns thing. Oh, Ethan says that pronouns are too woke. When Ethan was just trying to clarify that he doesn't think the non-binary person, which he was right about, has any specific pronoun. They're okay with all of them. And this guy's like, he was yelling at Olivia. He was yelling at the chat. But, Fallen fan, guys. It's the fucking Fallen fan fallacy, dude. It's the triple F, dude. It's almost as bad as the triple K. But those guys, they're a little bit worse. Just a little bit. They're just a little bit worse. Okay? They would also hate Ethan because, one of those Ks stands for a bad word against my people as well, by the way. I'm not going to educate you on what it is.
I'm a fan of both of them.
No, you're not.
Now I had to take a break from H3,
You're obviously a Hasan Guzzler.
and then I returned after he made those terrible comments. And when I returned, one of the first episodes was him making fun of Aaron Bushnell behind a paywalled episode.
Aaron Bushnell. So I saw the overall take. The overall take is Aaron Bushnell lit himself on fire. He was clearly somebody going through a lot of mental issues inside of the American military, which is a whole conversation about the American military pumping out people, giving them fucking mental health issues, which is a real thing. And that's why a lot of people who are homeless are military veterans. We don't take care of them. And we shouldn't be glorifying somebody letting themselves on fire. It's just not a good thing to do. It's not a smart thing to do. That was literally his only take. And if he made a joke, sorry. I mean, he's always made jokes. You could say it's an insensitive, shitty joke. Personally, I'm more focused on the fact that it is a wrong thing to do. So
Aaron Bushnell, for those who don't remember, is somebody who self-immolated.
it was somebody with a mental health problem that lit themselves on fire and took their own life. Like, that is horrific that you would even have the ability to take your own life, but at the same time, light yourself on fire. And one of the most horrific ways of dying. So, I mean, can we show, what's the make fun of part?
He is a U.S. veteran who self-immolated to protest our
He self-immolated because he has a mental health issue.
complicity with Israel's genocide. And to see Ethan Klein respond in the way that he did, that was when I had to check out for good, because I just couldn't
let's just see the clip.
get past his disgusting take there. He started to also
let's see it.
conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. He later,
because people will be, that's one and the same for certain people. That's how the dog whistle works. Some people don't believe it's happening. Some people do. It is a dog whistle. You know what a dog whistle is? A whistle you blow and only dogs can hear it. That's the whole point. It's like when Donald Trump says there's good people on both sides during Charlottesville. That is a dog whistle. Because normal people will just be like, oh, probably are some good people who believe that the statue should stay up. But no, they are, and I'm sure that there were, but there were people chanting hateful, horrific, terrible things. I think it was against Jewish people specifically. Those are not good people, right? That is what we call a dog whistle, right? That's what we're talking about. But he's not going to show the clip of the Aaron Bushnell thing. He conveniently doesn't show clips of things when he knows that it doesn't work well for him, but he'll show clips of other stuff. It's fucking insane.
spent an entire episode shitting on Hasan Piker, and during that episode, his Lebanese staffers had family in Lebanon that had to evacuate because they were being bombed by Israel.
And he constantly disavows the continued assault. So
he centered his feelings during that entire episode, didn't even let
Can you show it to us?
them share their experience.
What? You show that to us?
That's insane to me.
Great. Listen, here's the thing. If you're going to show us that if you are going to constantly show clips to support what you say, you're not allowed to just go, hey, this thing happened, and decide not to show a clip, because it means you're being intentionally malicious. I can't believe a single thing that you're saying, because we already looked into, got a clip for one of the things that you said. You lied. You're lying on purpose. That's what we know, it's on purpose. It's weird. You have a thought about Ethan that you don't like him, and you refuse to show clips when it doesn't service you because you know that the clip doesn't make you look good because you're wrong. You're dishonest on purpose.
He later claimed recently, actually, that Joe Biden was actually good when it comes to Israel-Palestine.
He's better than Trump.
Even though he armed and funded them at every step of the way.
He's better than Trump. Trump's like trying to take over Palestine right now. Like I would imagine oust Palestinians. So
his wife, Ela Klein, called Yoav Gallant a really good guy, even though he is the war criminal who called Palestinians human animals while announcing that he was going to be cutting off food and electricity to all of them, not just Hamas.
So just to be clear, that was a huge misstep, and Ethan and Ela, they walked that back immediately because they didn't realize that he was he was a big piece of shit. The reason why they called him a good guy was because Netanyahu got rid of Gallant because Gallant was trying to stop the war, really the genocide on Gaza. Gallant was actively against. He was at a point where he's like, we have to stop. He was discussing what he said, but comparatively, he was one of the only people like, we have to stop this constant bombardment of Gaza. And so, like, yeah, they misspoke and they apologized for it, but they're not wrong about the fact that Netanyahu's getting rid of people around him that don't support his endless regime of fucking tyranny. I wonder who else that sounds like. Trump. So, like, where's the context of that? Are you going to talk about that or what? We're still on this fucking thing? It's fucking insane. Are you going to show us a clip? Is there going to be a clip? No, there's not going to be a clip. We're not going to show the clip of that. We're not going to show the clip of him apologizing. We're not going to show the context there, which makes perfect sense. We're going to sit here and we're going to morally masturbate. We're going to fucking virtue signal about how Ethan's the worst person in the entire world. It's incredible.
And over time, these things that he kept saying.
I mean, literally, we never got an apology from Hasan for justifying for Russia genociding Ukrainians through starvation and planting Russians into parts of Ukraine and saying, this is our land now. And then Hasan going, haha, Crimea River and give the land back to the Russians. We never got an apology for that. And nobody fucking cares. But when Ethan missteps and says some dumbass shit and then immediately apologizes and explains the context and he's right, we don't talk about it. It's the expectations on the two of these different people is fucking insane. It's psychotic. It's childish. It's fucking pathetic. Because you motherfuckers are okay with Ukrainians getting genocided, but you're not okay with Arabic people getting genocided. I'm not okay with either people getting genocided. Hot take of the fucking century. You think it wouldn't be, but apparently it is. Because people like this, who take it down to here, for Hasan, all they care about is what side of the aisle are the people getting genocided on. If they're on the Western side, it's totally okay. But if they're on if it's not the West, oh my God, this is the worst travesty ever. You guys don't give a fuck. You guys don't even care. You don't give a fuck about anything you're saying. This is insane.
Started to add up, and the left-wing audience that he cultivated began to grow tired of this bullshit commentary that they've been hearing. And little by little, as he lost viewers and subscribers every single week, he began to grow more angry with Hasan because seemingly he felt like Hasan turned his audience against him.
That's not
which isn't true at all. He has a left-leaning audience that just agreed more with Hasan, full stop. And I don't think I'm making unreasonable assumptions here.
You're making every unreasonable assertion
here because Ethan has been pretty upfront about the fact that his anger towards Hasan stemmed from him having hurt feelings. And I say that because he included this clip in his content nuke of Hasan from a conversation that they both had just before he ended the Leftovers podcast.
Do you care that your chat is calling me racist? Do you make any attempt to modify?
I have not looked at my chat.
Moderate that at all?
I have not looked at my chat at all, but you
I
have
just
to
opened it, but don't you have moderators? Do you care at all about what your audience says about me?
There's 32,000 people in here right now.
I'm just trying to tell you guys how it feels. And I'm fucking shocked that you don't care that people in your chat are saying, who the fuck is this child? Cold, arrogant, kind as fuck.
I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
How can you be surprised when your Discord is literally full of fucking
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
Now, to be clear, Hasan.
Why does this make Ethan look bad? This is Hasan saying like, hey, Ethan, I know you're in the right. That's the insinuation there. That they shouldn't be saying these things. What can I do? Everything, if you're the content creator. Why is it when somebody, in this case, a man, is like, this hurts my feelings that you're not like just stopping your chat from calling me a murderous baby genocide defender when you know that I'm not doing that? And why it's just like, this is destroying me. You're supposed to be my friend and you won't stop them from saying things that you know are wrong about me. And we go, oh, Ethan's just in his feelings. What are you, a fucking moron? What's wrong with being in your feelings? It's supposed to be his friend. Your friends are supposed to be like, yeah, you know what? I have to defend my friend. It doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, Ethan, everything you're saying is agreeable. Just like, guys, you need to stop harassing him and saying things that I know are not true. Why? Like, how do you guys turn that into being bad? Like, I don't understand it. Like, what happened? We want to talk about how men need to express themselves and be better at expressing like their feelings. And then a guy expresses his feelings and it's like, oh, wow, this guy's fucking cringe. What? It's insane. It's so fucking childish. It's just pathetic. It's so annoying. You guys are such fucking children. You don't give a fuck about anything. Like, you just make fun of a guy for being in his fucking feelings when he's justified in every feeling that he has. Like, 1,200 people in fucking Israel were just fucking murdered by a terrorist organization. Like, oh, God forbid he's like a little upset by that. Like, holy fuck. And that's part of it. And then he's like trying to express his perspective. You're fucking insane. They had the Humanist report. Fucking, this guy doesn't give a fuck about humans at all.
Hasan was banning people who were being
no, he wasn't
purposefully antagonistic.
No, he wasn't, idiot.
Towards Ethan.
No, he wasn't.
And out of respect for him
no, he
and
wasn't.
their friendship.
No, he wasn't.
I know because I was there.
He wasn't.
Saw Hasan on stream ban chatters who came in talking shit about Ethan Klein.
He literally said that he can't do anything about his Reddit or Discord. This is not what you're saying is not true. He might have banned some people who said really inflammatory things, but he didn't ban the majority of the people doing it. And he could. He's a millionaire that could say, guys, it's time to go on fucking lockdown mode. He decided not to do that.
He tried to get his own chat to see it from Ethan Klein's perspective.
No, he didn't.
As a dual citizen of the U.S. and Israel.
No, he didn't.
But that wasn't enough for Ethan Klein.
That's not what he did not do any of that. That's you're just lying. You're a weird guy. This guy's a bad person. Just lying. It's weird.
And ever since that moment, his hatred towards Hasan has grown and festered.
He knows that he's lying about it, because this has never been said before, ever. This is the first time anyone's ever made this claim after what, like a year? 2 years? It's like 2 years? How many years has it been since this event? This is the first time we're ever hearing this, because he knows that he's lying, but it makes his narrative look really good, because now it's like, oh, see, Ethan's just being a complete baby. No, what are you talking about? He's rewriting the entire history. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane.
You know, for months he's been stewing, and it's reached the point where Ethan Klein is not only comparing Hasan to literal neo-Nazis like Nick Fuentes, but he's also accusing him of being a terrorist sympathizer.
He is a terrorist sympathizer. Wouldn't he say he is? Because he thinks the terrorist organizations that are anti-West are justified to some capacity in what they're doing. And there is a complicated conversation you could have about some aspects of it being justified. Just being radicalized by U.S. involvement into other countries. There's a whole conversation to have about that. But it's not like he came on and gave that kid any pushback. He was just laughing about it. Like, Hasan literally got onto his stream, and when they were finally releasing hostages, Hamas was releasing hostages after 2 years, Hasan was like, oh, these guys look like they want to be hostages still. They look like they were having like a really good time and having fun. The guy's a disgusting fucking freak. What are you talking about? That's a disgusting thing to say. Like, he's so pro-Hamas to a point where it's not nuanced. It's not like a nuanced conversation. That anytime Hamas does something, he'll lick the shit out of their ass clean. What are you talking about? When you're sitting here and after hostages that are fucking clearly completely full of PTSD are being coached of like smile and wave. You could hear the audio and Hasan's going, yeah, it looks like they really like being hostages of Hamas. When you're sitting there, like, you don't think that maybe this guy's a fucking lunatic? It's you're insane. There's a difference between having an understanding, a social conversation about why terrorist organizations are created and the U.S. involvement of being a big part of that, versus thinking that people who are hostages of these organizations really love being there.
And worse, he's trying to get Twitch to ban Hasan, and he used this content nuke to encourage his viewers to call for an advertiser boycott of Twitch if they don't actually ban Hasan.
I made this video for 2 reasons. First, to stop Hasan infiltrating mainstream media. Hasan has been welcomed by many mainstream outlets. They view him as a friendly social democrat, as someone who's just trying to spread progressive politics online to an important demographic. But we know that's not true. He is not their friend or their ally. If you ever see Hasan rubbing shoulders with anyone from mainstream media, let them know politely, with all the civility in the world, what kind of person he is when he thinks mainstream media isn't watching. Help them understand that his name should be associated with people like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, other fringe, radical, political commentators. Number 2, Twitch must be held accountable. Twitch has proven that it will not change by choice, and so it is our moral imperative to enact that change through any reasonable means that we can. Samsung, Chevron, and Capcom. Twitch has given them a lasting association with a racial tier list with Arabs at the top and Jews at the bottom. These brands have every right to know, and they should.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We all recall YouTube's adpocalypse. It happened when ads were running over ISIS recruitment videos, and it caused a brand exodus. The same thing is happening now on Twitch, but instead of ISIS, it's the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Dan Clancy's refusal to moderate extremists is the only reason for any of this. He is the sole person to blame.
Yeah. Now, first of all, he is grossly mischaracterizing the racial tier list that he referenced there, and he got all of those small creators banned for a month because of his outrage over that. But
he's not mischaracterizing it at all. These are people who do not like Jewish people. The tier list was it Habibi to Sabra, which is a hummus, but also means a Jew born in Israel, during like a very socially heightened time where they know what that's going to sound like. And even if you don't think that they're being racist, which I think that they are being racist, don't you think that you could have a little bit of fucking decorum and be like, you know what? I don't think that they were trying to dog whistle that Jews are bad. but considering what's going on right now, they should have some. They should speak more carefully, because we don't want people to think that. We don't want people to think that that's the dog whistle. We're sitting here and you constantly want to praise Hasan for being a politics guy instead of a drama guy, and this and that. Then why the fuck doesn't he hold himself to a higher standard when it comes to the way that he talks about things? Because he's not a politics guy. He's a political drama guy that likes to say inflated things so that he can get people riled up and watch his content. He says shit that's inflated. He says things that are wrong intentionally because he knows that it's going to get people to start watching him more, and you're doing the exact same thing for more attention. It's usually the people that are the least honest that get the biggest platform, because they're just willing to say whatever and feed into people's hatred and vitriol of the other side. Regardless, that's what they want. That's what you want. It's a weak, pathetic tactic, and this is what's happening, and this is what's destroying media. Media is lying, but these independent journalists lie even more, and with no fucking impunity. Because they're not even held to the minuscule bullshit fucking standard of the mainstream media on both sides. Worse on Fox, frankly. That's why Tucker Carlson got fired. These people don't fucking care, dude. It's crazy. This is why the world is crumbling here. Or at least it feels like it. It's because of people like this. Whether it's well-intentioned or not, pushing propaganda because they are weak and they are pathetic and they're afraid that their audience will disagree with them, so they say whatever the fuck their audience wants to hear because they care more about populism than they do about saying and doing the right thing. They're weak. These people are fucking completely beheld by their audience. They won't say anything that disagrees with them. That's what it comes down to. They're fucking pathetic and they're weak. And if this guy had an audience full of Ethan Klein Guzzlers instead of Hasan Guzzlers, he'd be saying this. It's the exact opposite of what he's saying right now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. His audience means everything to him. I don't give a fuck about my audience. I like you guys. I'll say anything that I have to say, whether you agree or disagree. I'm going to double down on it, because go fuck yourself. Because that's the only way you can be a content creator or talk about anything, is if you're willing to tell your audience that you're fucking wrong and I don't care. And I'm going to double down even if I'm wrong until I realize that I actually am wrong. And I'm not going to let you guys decide to change what I have to say, feel, or think. I'll keep it in mind, but I'm not going to just change on a fucking whim. It's pathetic. So I've done it plenty of times of disagreeing with my audience. It's always a fun time.
But now he's trying to cause adpocalypse on Twitch to kill everybody's channels, so that way they'll all be mad at Hasan. So that way other creators will try to sacrifice Hasan to the gods of the advertisers in order to spare them. Now,
sure. I think he's just doing it because what they're doing is wrong, but okay.
Conspicuously enough, Ethan Klein doesn't have the same energy for the right-wing streamers who push red pill manosphere bullshit to young men, or for the fascists.
This is so funny. It's so funny because one of Ethan's biggest things was it was really bizarre that Twitch, at the same time that they were okay with them doing all this crazy shit, unbanned literal anti-Semites, Sneeko and Fresh and Fit, and allowed them back onto the platform, which was part of the reason why he believes that they're anti-Semites, hate fucking Jews. Oh my God, I can't even speak. Anti-Semitic. Because they unbanned far right, like right-wing pieces of shit that hate Jews at the exact same time that this controversy is going on. But you're like, oh, he doesn't think that they should stop people on the right doing the same thing. He literally called those people out as part of what Twitch was doing. You're just talking. You don't even know what the fuck you're saying. This is insane. He doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. It's actually blowing my fucking mind.
Who are spreading genocidal hate speech towards trans people and immigrants and also Palestinians. He's targeting Hasan simply because his fucking feelings are hurt. That is what this is about.
What do you want him to call out? Because he already did call out like Fresh and Fit and Sneeko. Well, who do you want him to call out? Actual, like this is the problem. Is like Ethan doesn't typically really talk too much about right-wing people. Well, I guess he does sometimes, but that was the whole point of the Leftovers podcast, which is now gone. Like this just screams like you can't speak negatively about Hasan as long as there are worse people out there. But you're all fucking pathetic and disgusting. Even if Hasan isn't as bad as like fucking Alex Jones, you're still all disgusting.
Meanwhile, as he's coping and seething, Hasan is...
It's just like, hey guys, as long as you say that Palestinians are good, you could do whatever you want. You could be a hateful piece of shit that justifies Muslims getting killed in China. You can justify Ukrainians getting killed by Russians and genocide Russians. As long as you say West bad, Palestinian good. By the way, Palestinian people are good. You get to say whatever the fuck you want without any consequence. That's what we're saying here. Like, it's a virtue signal. Like, you get to say whatever you want as long as you're on the right side. But like he doesn't care about fucking any Palestinian people. I don't understand. Like, it's insane. He doesn't care about anything. He just cares about being anti-West because he hates the fucking West like it's his dad or something. That used to like took away his Game Boy when he was 13. He never forgot about it.
Having the time of his life.
Crazy.
Hasan was in Japan feeding capybaras in a French maid outfit while Ethan Klein's content nuke dropped. And you could tell that Hasan is not bothered by Ethan's bullshit because he knows that he's
very bothered by it. That's why he went on his stream and did a whole cope stream about it, refusing to watch it. But okay.
He's right. Conversely, Ethan Klein is extremely bothered by Hasan because deep down he knows that he's in the wrong.
Cool.
In times like these, we need people like Hasan more than ever. So, when we're trying to fight fascists and you want to take...
I'm assuming that picture just made your fucking dick hard, and that's why you're riding it so hard. Because we need Hasan? I don't think so. We need like fucking Bernie Sanders, okay? That's what we really need. That's honestly who we really need. We need an actual decent person. We need people like Bernie Sanders, Jon Stewart, and frankly... fucking even like AOC, who's been pretty chill lately, pretty calm, cool, and collected. I kind of respect her a lot now. I appreciate the way that she's been carrying herself. What are you talking about?
Prominent anti-fascist voice, Ethan.
Oh my
I take
God.
that personally, right?
Hasan's not an anti-fascist voice. He doesn't give a fuck. He's an anti-West voice. He's okay with China fucking genociding Muslims in camps. What are you talking about? He's okay with Russia genociding fucking Ukrainians. What are you talking about? What do you say he's anti-fascist? He's just a communist fucking fascist sympathizer instead of a capitalist fascist sympathizer. What are you talking about?
You are trying to cripple the left's ability to fight fascism by targeting one of the loudest voices that we have in this space.
Okay.
Now,
I mean, I would argue that if Hasan wasn't a lying scumfuck piece of shit, people wouldn't feel as comfortable being anti-left. But they get to go like, oh, the left's biggest warrior is Hasan, a lying scumfuck? Okay, well, I'm just going to go back to my lying scumfuck Tim Pool then.
in his 1 hour, 40-minute long content nuke, Ethan claims that Hasan should be deplatformed not because his feelings are hurt, but because he's promoting terrorism in a number of ways.
He is.
So he says that since Hasan is promoting terrorism and that's against Twitch's TOS, well, they have grounds to ban him. Now,
yeah, they do.
He makes this argument by including clips of Hasan broadcasting videos of Houthis dancing.
Terrorists, dancing. And talking about terrorism and stuff, and then, having a terrorist on stream who's an admitted terrorist who wants Jews to be impaled. Yeah, those are pretty bad things.
Saying that that's terrorist propaganda. He accuses Hasan of not pushing back enough against the Yemeni pirate that he brought on his program. And a lot of these
Hasan says he's not even a Yemeni pirate, though.
Claims that he makes during this process are very poorly sourced. He clearly cherry picks headlines while not reading the article.
Oh, can you show us a video of Hasan giving pushback against the pirate, since you're such a clip guy? Oh, look, there aren't any. Oh, look, there aren't any. These are really poorly sourced, and despite the fact that I'll show clips for a lot of the other things I say, I'm not going to show a clip here.
And he makes a lot of rookie mistakes during this video essay.
Not really.
Mention a lot of the clips that he used of Hasan were very clearly misrepresented or taken out of context completely, but he sourced the...
Yeah, we get it. That's what Hasan says all the time. And despite the fact that Hasan is a multi-millionaire that could pay people to literally go pick through Ethan's video and find the full clips of every single thing for people to watch that are actually interested, which I would be interested in because, hey, it's more content. He doesn't do it because he knows he's wrong. This is a tactic from Hasan, and he knows he's full of shit, and he could remedy this like that. If I was making the millions of dollars that Hasan was making, and people are like, you're out of context, I would go pay somebody and say, go find the video of the full context, and then I would sit there and I would make content about it. Because you know what? I can make more fucking money. I'll make more money than the money that I would spend asking other people to go look through this for me and do research for me. But he doesn't do that because it's just a lie that you're willing to throat. You're just throating the lie. Okay? That's why this is supposed to say THR, the Humanist Report. This is just THR throat. He's just throating Hasan. That's literally all it is.
These from Destiny's community, specifically their subreddit, I'm assuming. But to be fair, there were criticisms in that content nuke that he lobbed at Hasan that were reasonable. I don't necessarily agree with them, but I can understand why some of these things that Hasan says would be off-putting to somebody who's offended by edgy humor or isn't necessarily on our side of the political aisle.
Edgy humor. Ethan is the edgy humor guy. What?
So him saying that sounds extreme. With that being said...
Like what? Like what?
The crux of...
the pretend charity.
His argument here falls apart when you understand the double standard and sheer hypocrisy of what Ethan Klein is saying. So while he accuses Hasan of being a terrorist sympathizer, he doesn't hold streamers who literally make pro-IDF content to that same standard, even though they explicitly whitewash and justify IDF terrorism.
Like who? Who do you want him to talk about? What are you talking about?
Nor does he accuse those types of people.
What people? What fucking people?
Lonerbox, Destiny, Brianna Wu.
There we go.
Of promoting terrorism. And he doesn't say that they should be banned.
I don't know too much about Lonerbox. Destiny is a disgusting fucking rape apologist freak that doesn't care about being right or having any level of empathy. Only cares about being right. Doesn't care about any level of empathy or humanity when he talks about anything. So sure, I mean, I'm assuming the reason that they don't talk about Destiny is because he's they don't even want to be associated with that. Sure, I guess, though, call him out for it. They could have done that when they did this thing called Leftovers podcast, but Ethan's been staying away from politics. But just because he's a fucking disgusting fuck doesn't mean that he has to call everybody out. Also, I don't really know about Lonerbox. He seems to be pretty like chilled guy. I don't know if he's pushing any fucking insane shit, and I don't even know who the fuck Brianna Wu is. But I'm pretty sure I don't know what is it that Lonerbox is saying that it makes him like a fucking piece of shit. I guess, what does he say that makes him some kind of an IDF genocide supporter?
He just says this about Hasan. Right? Now, he certainly doesn't hold...
Is he wrong about... He's not wrong about Hasan. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Hasan shouldn't have fucked him over and allowed his chat to be, like, horrible to him and then just called him a dumb asshole.
His own wife, to that same standard. She was a member of the IDF, which is a terrorist organization, to be clear.
But not Hezbollah?
But since Israeli soldiers wear military fatigues and have the full backing of the U.S. government, well, he's incapable of seeing them as the terrorists that they are.
He literally disavows and calls Netanyahu a war criminal. So I don't really know if that holds any water, because I don't know if you know this. Netanyahu probably controls the IDF. I don't know if you know about that. And says that what they're doing is disgusting genocide. But, you know, you're right, man. He never calls that. I've never heard him call that out every time he talks about this topic. Got him. Got him, guys.
So anybody who promotes them aren't necessarily promoting terrorism by definition because they're the good guys. Now, he also defends Ela by saying that Israel had mandatory military service, so she
they do.
had no choice but to serve in the IDF, which is fair. But he never responds to the fact that she willingly shared the fact that she had a boring desk job with the IDF, but chose a different position within the military because she thought that it was too boring.
Okay, so who cares?
And on that same podcast,
was she going around fucking whipping Palestinian children? Like, what did she do that was so horrible?
She talked about how she went on a raid to a terrorist city.
It probably was a terrorist city. Just to be clear, just because Palestinians are the primary victims in this conflict doesn't mean that there isn't terrorism coming out of it. This is where the conversation gets complicated. The support for Hamas in Palestine, to my understanding, is pretty high, and it's because they are radicalized by the fact that they're constantly getting oppressed by the Israeli occupation. Right? It's a very complicated topic. That's why two-state solution, reparations to Israel. To Palestine. Just to be clear, I did not mean to Israel. From Israel. But it doesn't mean that, like, these terrorists are good. This is just a very complex topic. So, I mean, like, what do you want? Like, what is it that it's just the fucking problem here is that when you have people, there's clearly people have a bias towards a different side. Like, I obviously have a bias towards Israel more than Palestine. He obviously has a bias towards Palestine more than Israel. But throughout this whole fucking video, I've been telling you that, like, Netanyahu is a literal war criminal piece of shit that deserves to be jailed or worse. He's not, but he's going to downplay the fact that, like, terrorists are terrorists, right? Like, that's the difference between the two. There's no wrong on his side to him. That's how you know he's full of shit.
Ramallah, specifically, is what she was referring to. And more recently, his wife, Ela, called the Israeli defense minister, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court for Crimes Against Humanity, a really good guy.
Yeah, she walked that back. We already explained the context of that one. The context was that he was, like, one of the only people opposing Netanyahu wanting to continue to attack Gaza, just to be clear.
Now, listen, I don't expect him to call his wife a fucking terrorist, obviously, but I do expect him to have a little bit of fucking self-awareness and maybe not lob that term around so casually if that's his wife's history. And on that note, YouTuber Bad Empanada did a thorough breakdown.
Will never, just never gonna happen. This guy's a disgusting fucking Destiny Orbiter freak, so no thanks.
About this, and he explained how by Ethan's own standards, Ela Klein is more of a terrorist.
In general, a good rule of thumb is if somebody came out of Destiny's community or is, like, associated, you probably should try to stay away from them, just to be clear. Okay, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't like the guy for a while, but after the last fucking thing, I realized he's a disgusting fuck. So this guy's also a fucking disgusting freak too, so.
Than the Yemeni kid that Hasan interviewed. And that's important because it's one of the core pieces of evidence that Ethan Klein is using to supposedly prove that Hasan is a terrorist sympathizer. And that right there is the core issue that people like me, a former fan of Ethan Klein, take with this arc that he's on, this anti-Hasan arc. It is a double standard that is clearly rooted in Western chauvinism, in Islamophobia, and quite frankly, in racism.
So true, dude. Every bigoted term you can come up with, guys. Okay.
And putting,
you know what's so interesting? They like to bring up, like, everything's bigoted, but if you have a criticism and you're like, hey, I'm frustrated, here's like a valid thing that I think about Palestine. Sometimes one of the reasons why I like Israel more is because Palestine and a lot of Eastern culture is very homophobic, very transphobic, very anti-woman, and very anti children. They don't like gays, trans people, women, or children. That's why they're still okay with arranged marriages, which are always abusive. Child marriage is always abusive. And it's one thing that makes it difficult for me to sometimes empathize more fully with people who live in those cultures, right? Because like the bigotry is disgusting to me. If I couldn't go there with my cousin or like, you know, people, my cousin or my wife or anything like that, it makes me like, oh, I don't like that culture, right? Doesn't mean these people deserve to be destroyed, but the culture, the Western ideology is shit. I'm sorry. Like when it comes to like not advocating for social groups, you guys be like, no, you can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. Blah 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 blah. But then you'll be like, oh, you're racist for calling them out for that. What do you like? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just such a bizarre, you'll fucking virtue signal about bigotry because like, oh, Ethan just doesn't like them because he's a bigot. But then like we sit here and we're like, you know, it frustrates me that like every Western fucking culture just like hates women. They don't like, and women and children and like all these and gay and trans people. And you're just like, no, you're being fucking racist right now. I'm not being racist. Okay. I jerk off to so many fucking Arab women. It's insane. Okay. All right, guys. I'm just a fucking man, dude. It's just crazy. Like you guys don't even hold to that double standard. And then, you know, you'll pretend like all I'm saying is a dog whistle. It's not. Like Arab people deserve like fucking human rights. The women too. The children too. The workers too. Western, like I understand that like Western fucking, was I saying Western or Eastern? Whatever. You guys get my point. I understand the West isn't perfect, but it's like you guys are just so weird. It's just bizarre. It's just fucking bizarre. It's just so bizarre. Okay?
Putting aside that issue, it's rich for somebody like him to condemn Hasan for his craziest takes when he literally had to buy a $20,000 button for his podcast to purge oopsies that he made during live streams.
Don't all radio shows have a button like that that like to stop some stuff going through like coughs or other bad things?
I mean, we're talking about somebody that beamed a little bit too close to the sun multiple times.
Okay,
he said that he hoped the NRA convention, when it was happening, I think it was 2023 or so, got shot up. He said that...
Oh, no context?
If there's another Holocaust...
Oh, no context to that one? That was right after a horrific fucking mass shooting that happened in Texas. That was like Uvalde, I'm pretty sure. And they were going to hold a fucking NRA meeting like a week later. And so he said some shit out of frustration. I love that. Dude, I love that you're sitting here like, oh, Ethan will never criticize the right. And then when he makes an edgy joke, which was too edgy, about how disgusting it was that there was an NRA meeting the week after a horrific mass shooting in Texas, you leave that out. That's insane. How fucking dishonest are you? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? This is insane. What?
Holocaust, he hopes that Ben Shapiro is gassed first or last.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Like, you shouldn't say that. It's a terrible thing to say, but Ben Shapiro is totally okay with having an anti-Semitic audience on the right that fucking hates Jewish people. So if it's going to happen, I mean, like, the people in proximity probably going to feel it the first. Should never happen. I don't want to see it happen, obviously, because I would be on the fucking chopping block. But, like, you're sitting here and, like, your first video is like, he'll never criticize the right. And then you're telling us all these edgy jokes that he's made about criticizing the fucking right. And it's like, wow, like, how do you even say the same thing? How do you say these things in your video, in the same video? Like, do you think that your audience has the attention span of a fucking squirrel? And they're not going to be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Wait a minute. Oh, they probably do have the attention span of a fucking squirrel because they're probably sitting there on goddamn TikTok listening to you in the background going, yeah, Ethan bad, while they're sitting here looking at fucking dog memes. Okay.
And he admits that he says offensive things himself in the content nuke, to his credit, but he implies that Hasan's edgy comments are just too beyond the pale, whereas...
No, he doesn't.
His aren't, I guess. And I mean...
No, he doesn't. Part of it was literally, he's like, yeah, Hasan made some really bad jokes, but who the hell was I to judge? I did too, and that's why we still made leftovers. And then he goes, it's insane what happens when you actually watch the content. I doubt this guy ever watched it. He probably just like looked at a Reddit post that Hasan's fans made or something. But then he goes on to talk about how like some of this stuff is disgusting, like platforming terrorists or terrorist propaganda or downplaying the death of Ukrainians or downplaying the death of Muslims in China or downplaying the massacre of different groups like Tibet. Like is incredible.
I mean, that's fine. You can think that, but it makes you a hypocrite, especially considering how you literally built your fucking career by making edgy jokes.
Okay.
And now he's
just like the pretend hypocrisy is crazy.
Taking to Instagram to attack people who criticize him. And he's even saying that, oh, this term crashing out.
I'm going to cosplay as a fan of him and look at my phone for a second. Okay.
Is ableist. That's not his exact word, but that's what he's implying.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, this edgy guy who had to buy a $20,000 button to hide the fucked up things that he says is now the biggest woke scold and thinks that he can call for other
woke scold
people to be deplatformed given everything that he said. I mean, it's just so fucking hypocritical. The audacity of him.
How long did you think about making these arguments before you came on and like decided to say the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life?
Right? So it feels so weird that all of a sudden he is the biggest pearl clutcher on the internet.
Okay.
And he's calling for his former co-host to be deplatformed.
By the way, guys, he picked this video, this picture of Hasan, because he's jerked off to it the most. The second most now behind the picture of him in the maid outfit, because he's so turned on by Hasan, he will literally guzzle and glaze him all stream.
And
or all video, whatever.
Worst part is that Ethan Klein, like there's this level of disingenuity
Whoa!
that is so frustrating. He feigns
Like
ignorance,
what?
for example, to Hasan's leftism at one point in the content nuke and makes it
like what?
It seem like Hasan groomed him or exploited him to get to his audience to radicalize.
Dude,
them against him.
Bro, we listened to Hasan on a podcast with his other fucking friends talk about how he intentionally lies and downplays the severe, like how far left he is to try to encapsulate specifically young people and children. I'm pretty sure they use the words children so that they can radicalize them. Those are the words that are in that fucking video. It's like the intro. It's the intro to my Ethan Klein fucking Hasan react video, like the nuke react. I'll put it in the description if I remember. So, what the hell are you talking about? It's an admitted tactic from Hasan that he will, in his words, lower his power level to be able to try to like hide what he actually feels and thinks. And then as he gets people to watch the stream, they start to realize how radical he is. But by then, they're already encapsulated. What the fuck are you talking about? They say the words in the fucking video. We watch them say the words. The words are said. They are said. What are you talking about? The words are said, dude. Did you watch? I guarantee this guy didn't watch the video. I guarantee you didn't watch the video. He was too afraid to watch the video.
And that's presumably how he reached the conclusion that communism is this dangerous threat brewing in America because,
communism is a threat. I don't know if it's brewing in America, but it is a threat. It's just not like the biggest threat right now.
He suffers.
We need more of like a social democracy, like fucking Sweden and all that. Right? Start with healthcare.
Firsthand how it affected his audience, and he's warning everybody else.
We were doing our regular show, and for the first time I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not whatever this was. I don't hate the idea of like people who can be successful. I think it's good that people can achieve success in the term monetary success. I mean, that's what that means, right? I do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I see so many people in the chat saying no.
I don't know what y'all are tripping about. Like, what the fuck do you want?
What is the idea that people are looking for?
You guys are all like radical communists? There's that many radical communists? Suck it, chat.
So I know the context of this is basically Ethan saying he thinks it's okay that people can be successful millionaires that just shouldn't be billionaires when you have homeless people, and that there needs to be better like social welfare protections. And that's his audience being like, no, that's ridiculous. I think that's the take. I mean, that's definitely the next step. We need like universal healthcare. We're gonna have to talk about a UBI with technology displacing jobs and driving down wages. Like what he's saying is totally normal. I know the context of it because I fucking watched it. I fucking watched it, dude.
You're watching a capitalist pig. Deal with it.
Now, he has cultivated more of a left-wing audience due to his proximity with Hasan and also because he kind of made a pivot after making pretty reactionary videos. But there were also a lot of people in his audience that have always been left-wing. People like myself who remember the cringe where...
You're not part of his audience. You're a pretend Fallen fan.
The episodes where he debated with his producers, Dan and Ian, about whether or not billionaires should exist. That was insufferable to me, and I'm glad that he moved away from that and became more progressive with time. I mean, his audience was not...
Pretty sure the context is that they shouldn't, but... millionaires should be okay as long as we can deal with the homeless part. Okay.
Happy back then if you go back and watch those episodes, and they especially aren't happy now that he's running interference for rich people. So of course they're going to respond to you by criticizing you, especially again after you moved away from that trajectory that you were on towards the end of the SJW era back in like 2016, 2017.
I will say Ethan did overcorrect at a certain point, but okay. I mean, I'm tired of talking about it. It's fucking, how many times are we going to talk about how he overcorrected? Like, yes, he was a little edgy, and then he overcorrected to become like too, like, well, not even saying non-edgy, but like too left-leaning, I'll say. And now I think he's at a good spot. He's at a pretty decent, I'd say Ethan is at a pretty decent spot. And I think that for when I watch Ethan, I don't think that he's captivated by audience capture anymore. I think he's over his audience capture, and he's able to be more honest, which in the long run will probably do him really well.
Where he was platforming racists like John Tron and hucksters like Jordan Peterson twice, for that matter. So to see you move in this better direction where you take...
So Jordan Peterson wasn't quite as bad when Ethan had made content with him. It's a weird revisionist history to pretend that Jordan Peterson was like always a bad guy. Jordan Peterson was, this, and because things really hyped up in like 2020. Things really started to explode in 2020 with COVID, a very unique event in our life where people were home and they were caring about things because they had no other, they had nothing else to occupy their time. So they were like, oh, there's social justice issues going on, and they advocated, and like it got a little crazy, I understand, but that's generally what happened. And we had like a big shift. Technology blew up at that time. TikTok blew up at the time. A lot of things shifted and changed, and I think that that's like a very unique time in our culture. There's a lot of people, especially young people, who didn't necessarily finish school, they had a delay, or who lost a lot of social growth. There's a lot of stuff going on there. But like when he had the conversation with Jordan Peterson, like Jordan Peterson was just like kind of a decent, smart guy who meant well. And now he's an insane fucking psychopath. He's an insane fucking like anti-trans psychopath, right? And I will say that like right at the cusp when Ethan brought all those videos down, I wish Ethan would have talked to Jordan, because maybe he could have saved them. I don't really know if he could have, but I think that maybe he could have. I think that was Jordan's like last straw breaking point. But like when Ethan talked to him, he wasn't like an insane right winger at the time. So what are you talking about? Yeah, that's so true. They always call him reactionary. When he had like the intro to his video said, "Keep it up, Ethan. Great jobs, Michelle Obama." By the way, I would love to see Michelle Obama to be our first female president. I think that would be. I unironically love Michelle Obama. I think that she needs to be president of the United States. That's it. I think people would vote for her. I'd vote for her. I don't give a fuck. I'd simp for her too. Bring back good, healthy school lunches, dude.
Take accountability for your past actions. That was encouraging. So your audience is holding you to this new standard that you set for yourself. But he doesn't like that, right? But here's where his content nuke got especially fucking clownish. When he pretends like he was victimized by Hasan, who apparently lied to him about his true communist intent. And this right here is where we get into the Red Scare portion of the content nuke. And it is the...
Well, Hasan wants communism, no? Like Hasan constantly talks about the difference between social democrats and democratic socialists. Social democrats, just people who like capitalism, but they want to see some good, positive social growth, better welfare programs, etc. Or democratic socialists who want to like move towards socialism and the actual communism. So yeah, Hasan makes it seem like he's just a social democrat by advocating being like, oh, we should just be like the Sweden model, but he wants to go much further than that. So just to be clear.
Most clownish shit I have ever seen in my fucking life.
Now listen to Hasan during our very first conversation lie to me about how he's a social democrat to hide his power level.
We should move towards a Sweden-style economy or a Norway-style economy, which would be a social democracy.
You have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda.
With
this is Ethan proving himself right.
Robust social safety nets.
Cold radicalization funnel, catch them while they're young, as they say.
And protections for workers, like higher unionization rates.
A lighter form, while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond social democratic ideas.
Hell, he's proclaimed it loudly that he is a self-described propagandist.
I'm a propagandist.
Well, no,
for the record.
No, I'm not calling
I'm a propagandist.
I'm just saying. I'm going to play you.
I'm saying I am.
Okay, well then,
I'm saying I am. I just want to play it.
A propagandist is much more than someone with a bias. It's someone who knowingly lies to further their political agenda.
And then I had a terrifying vision. Had I been duped? Was Hasan presenting a Trojan horse to my community, where he was just a left-leaning Democrat like myself, and as he said in the previous video, was funneling them into radicalization and turning them against me?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
I learned how much he hates liberals.
Dude, I hate liberals, dude. I do. I hate them. I hate them so viciously.
Did he secretly despise me this whole time?
I'm sorry, dude. I hate liberals so much.
Did this man sit next to me for 2 years and pretend to be my friend?
Did liberals...
Yes, that answer is yes.
Are a burden on this planet, dude.
Liberals are the most like scummy, vile fucking idiots. Liberals are incredibly stupid. I hate these petulant liberals, dumb fucking liberals.
What? Bro, you can't talk about Bryan Cranston like that, dude.
What else is someone this sociopathic capable of?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
Was I being manipulated this whole time?
That was my fear anyway. Regardless of his true beliefs, that broke my trust in him, and I pretty much ended the show immediately. And I felt guilty for my participation in mainstreaming Hasan.
It is
such a well put together video. It's incredible.
Adorable that he credits himself for Hasan's popularity. That right there is peak delusion.
So let's just be real. There's a reason Hasan did the podcast. It's to get himself out there and reach a new audience. And also, just to be clear, I remember when they were first starting Frenemies, and like, there was a time where Hasan was just kind of like turning down a little bit viewer-wise. Still a very large viewership, but he was kind of on the outs and he was kind of on the down, and like people weren't really associating with him because he was kind of an asshole. And Ethan did, and that did give him like some more reach and able to push his credibility and just back out there and get more like views back out there. Ethan did, to a reasonable extent, keep Hasan afloat. I'm not saying Hasan will be gone by now. I'm just saying that there was a very different Hasan a couple of years ago. A lot of things changed in his content strategy and his viewership reach. And it absolutely is a factor. Doing a leftovers episode that he just had to show up to like every week, that got like 500,000 views consistently. Yeah, it had a pretty big impact on him. So yeah, okay. I'm not saying that Hasan would have been a failure by now. Maybe everything would be the same, but it is a factor. There was a lot of views, especially on YouTube. Yeah, that was like a big YouTube reach for him.
But as you saw, it always comes back to Ethan's feelings.
Yeah,
First of all, propaganda is a value-neutral term. It doesn't necessitate lying. He made that up.
Just to be clear, this is why I decided to watch this video, because I was skipping through the video. I heard him say this, and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You think that propaganda is value-neutral? Propaganda is always trying to get people to think that your side is better than other sides by lying about it. Like there's a heavy insinuation of it being a lie. Everybody does propaganda. There's American propaganda. There's there's all types of propaganda. Okay, there's Russian propaganda. We know that impacted the election in 2016 pretty heavily when they were just trying to play both sides to cause division and get people to be worked up and frustrated. Propaganda is bad. It's a bad thing. It's usually a bad thing. Okay, it's not really value neutral. It's lying intentionally about something to try to make somebody look bad. But okay, I think most people understand that. I just don't know how to talk to people who don't think that that's true, right? Like that's ridiculous. Like one of Russia's probably, you know what one of the Russian propaganda things are. This is unironic. This is unironically Russian propaganda right here. I'm about to show you the Vladimir Putin meme on a bear. Conservatives, it lets out their inner like homosexuality that they pretend that they don't like. That's why they legislate so hard against gay people, because they're just trying to chase their own feelings away. This is propaganda. This is like he wants people to put him on a bear to make him look like a cool guy, even though it's fake. But when you're like a fucking 50 or 60-year-old moronic idiot that's missing half of your teeth and your children don't talk to you, this is the type of shit that you think is real, right? So like this is propaganda, and it's not good. It makes people think, oh, what a man. He's such a fucking man because he's riding a bear. Oh, that's crazy. But he has to kill all of his political opponents to get voted in again. Wow, what a man. Because, you know, men just have to kill everybody that disagrees with them. That's the mark of a real man, guys. Every conservative ever. Like, what are you talking? Not all of them, just the MAGA supporters, okay? Get the fuck out of here, dude. By the way, I would rather fuck the bear. It's hotter than him, okay? It's crazy.
Second of all leftists have expressed anger with liberals for many reasons. Liberals have done the same.
Oh, God, we're doing the fucking thing again. Apparently, liberal is just somebody a little more in the middle. These distinctions are so unnecessary, and it really is just like, hey, guys, I'm smart because I know the difference between terms that really don't fucking matter. Okay, a leftist is somebody that's much farther left, and a liberal is a normal person, it sounds like, okay?
But liberals in particular, like Ethan Klein, they agitate leftists by choosing to focus their ire on the left as opposed to the fascists who seized power in this country. And
You literally gave us examples of him making two really edgy jokes about people on the right that got him in a lot of trouble, and you're saying that he focuses all his attention on the left? That's just dishonest. That's just a weird, dishonest thing that you're choosing. It's like I don't know how you could watch this video and think that it's consistent. Ethan never criticizes the right. Meanwhile, Ethan's gotten banned for criticizing the right. Like, wow, you're so crazy, dude. That's such a good take. Good take.
And he's not the only person who does this, to be fair. It happens all the time, which is why the left does get frustrated with liberals. For example, Olivia Giuliana, a pro-Democrat influencer.
What the hell is this?
Chose to bash Chappell Roan for calling for healthcare for musicians at the Grammys, while implying that she didn't support Kamala Harris, who had a plan to expand access to healthcare, except she's lying. She did vote for Kamala Harris. She just didn't want to publicly endorse her because of her complicity with genocide.
Oh, well, then that's probably stupid because Trump is much worse. Isn't Trump like literally taking over fucking Palestine right now? Like, you guys did a good job by not voting for Kamala because she's not perfect when it comes to her interaction with Israel-Palestine. Good job not voting for her, because guess who got into office? Somebody who literally does not like different colors of people. And we know this because his big running point on 2016 was Obama's not a fucking American. I've never seen him say the same thing about any white person, only a black guy. So like, let's start there. That's obviously racist. And then just moving forward, we know he has a racist lens on like everything that he has to say. That's why he's saying there's good people on both sides, when one side during Charlottesville was chanting about killing Jews, right? So like, oh no, guys, there's good people on both sides. We're fucking, dude, no, he doesn't care. And frankly, I don't think that Trump's racist. I think he's just a New Yorker that just wants to win. Okay, so I know that. I get that. I can understand that because I'm also a New Yorker. But like, what are we talking about here? It was an idiot's game to ever pretend that fucking Trump was better than Kamala on anything. You guys are such dumb babies. It's fucking insane.
Moreover, liberals on Twitter spent Trump's first week in office bashing my leftist mafia co-host, Ariana Jasmine, for saying that she wouldn't vote for Joe Biden because as a Muslim woman, she couldn't overlook the genocide that he was complicit with.
And Trump was better? How? Okay, self-own on that one.
Mind the fact that in the end,
dude, this is like the funny, and I really don't mean to be crass about this, but this is almost the funniest thing. I'm white as fuck. Okay, I'm white as fuck, and I make good money. So voting for Donald Trump never was gonna hurt me, but I still think he's a bad president. Okay, and one of the reasons is because he's overly supportive of Israel. I'm not saying that Kamala is perfect when it comes to it, but she's certainly better. And all these motherfuckers like, oh, I'm an Arabic person or I'm a this person, and I just can't support Kamala because Joe Biden has been in support of Israel. And then you self-owned. You didn't vote, so you decided you couldn't vote at all, which is basically voting for Trump at that point. And then Trump gets in office, and now he's talking about taking over the goddamn land and turning it into like a tourist destination. I'm not hurt by it. Like I'm a white fucking New Yorker. I'm not like you guys did a self-own. Like you got to pick between shit and like older shit that smelled and tasted not as good, or excuse me, tasted a little better because it's like white now. So like the white poop, it's like, oh, that's gross, but it's like it's lost a lot of the yuckiness. And you decided to vote for the fresh heap of fucking shit, and then you want to bitch and moan about it, and it's like it's your fault, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You look like an asshole now. Like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Like you self-owned, and that's what we're seeing here. It's sorry, dude.
She did vote for Kamala Harris for purposes of harm reduction and showed up to the DNC convention to pressure them to platform a Palestinian speaker. She put in the work, and she was still raked over the coals for not sufficiently swearing fealty to the Democratic Party.
Okay.
So there's been this long-standing animosity between leftists and liberals.
All Trump has to do is have Elon put out a tweet, and like the Republicans will fall in line. But you guys have to have like scattered perspectives on shit. Like, well, they're not perfect. Okay, sorry. Like we live in a society of 330 million people. You're not getting perfect. Okay, you're going to get the best thing that you're going to get, and that's Kamala Harris, who is infinitely better than Donald Trump in like every single way. I don't know what else to tell you.
Because we are forced to share a party with people that have completely different worldviews than we have. Liberals are capitalists. Leftists are anti-capitalists. Liberals like the Democratic Party. Leftists do not like the Democratic Party.
I don't think liberals. I mean, I'd probably be more of a liberal. I don't really like the Democratic Party. This is better. It's the best thing we got. It's like you're a realist. You're a normal realist person that's like, this is the best that we got. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like the right, the reason that the right is so strong is because they're willing to not give a fuck about their own values as long as you vote red. That's it. Andrew Tate said not a singular thing about, Ben Shapiro said absolutely nothing about Andrew Tate the entire time, where it was very well known that he was sex trafficking women and raping them. Didn't say a singular thing except, hey, you shouldn't make jokes about how you would have sex with trans women, 10 out of 10 trans women instead of 3 out of 10 cisgender women. Not a single thing until October 7th, and all of a sudden Ben felt activated. That's the only time he disavowed it, because he was personally impacted. Okay? But you guys will fucking bitch and moan. Leftists will bitch and fucking moan because I'm like, I think capitalism is all right, but we need free healthcare for everybody. Well, not free. We need universal healthcare for everybody. We need to start there. We need a UBI. Oh, you said capitalism is okay? Okay, so you're okay with... Shut the fuck up. Okay? Like, just shut the fuck up. You can't compromise 1/4 inch of a fucking percent on your shit and understand, like, that's how the world works. You have to compromise. You won't compromise for a goddamn thing. But these motherfuckers on the right are willing to, like, suck cock of actual white supremacists. And it's like, you really, like, do you understand what it means to be a person? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're insane. You're insane. You guys are insane. It's childish. It's childish. Progress is going to move inches. That progress is made in inches, in fucking centimeters, okay? That's what progress is made in. And you guys pretend you're just fucking purists. Like, everything I need to get exactly what I want every fucking time. Okay? You're the guys that scream at McDonald's workers because they accidentally leave pickles on the burger. Okay? I get pissed off too. I just complain to myself and throw the pickles out. But you guys have a fucking tirade and ask for your money back. That's what it is. That's the difference between the two of you guys. That's the difference. That's the difference between the two of you guys. That's really what it is. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay?
Although some of us align with Democrats to stop fascists.
Democrats? Incredible.
Right? And we're critical of the Democratic Party because we want them to do better and beat fascists, which irritates liberals. But Ethan Klein feels like Hasan downplayed his actual beliefs to radicalize Ethan's audience and ultimately turn them against him. But Hasan has literally never hid his views, ever.
He talks about how he hid it. You showed us a clip of Hasan admitting he hides his true intentions and views. What?
He has a bust of Lenin behind him.
Oh, fuck, I forgot. He's got a bust of Lenin behind him. Everybody knows exactly what all of that means at all times and everything he's communicating. So Hasan is literally saying that he just wants to move a little bit to the left with unionizing America and social welfare programs, but he's actually a fucking communist, and we're supposed to listen to the fact that he has a bust behind him over actually saying what comes out of his mouth. You realize that what you're saying is Hasan is dog whistling with a bust of whoever the fuck is behind him, that he is a very far left-wing person when he pretends to be a little left-wing. You realize that that's what you're saying, right? Like you that's what you're saying. You're saying that there are people who are going to come in, they're going to look at that bus, and they're going to go, I know this guy's a fucking communist. Pretend communist. He never would care about. The only reason that Hasan pretends to be a communist is because he knows it's never going to happen, by the way. That's a dog whistle. And the reason I know that he doesn't think that, like, this is the thing. Hasan doesn't think communism will ever happen. That's why he's an advocate for it, because he can make a lot of money pretending. He doesn't think that it's going to happen because it's never going to happen. What are you talking about? Never. We need to move for a little bit more left, but he knows it's not going to happen. He knows he can make money on it. He doesn't give a fuck about any of you. And you probably mean so well. You probably mean everything that you're saying, even though you're full of shit and you're constantly showing hypocrisies in this video, but you probably mean well, and you're falling for the anti-West propagandist who does not care about you or Palestinian people or Muslims getting killed in Chinese camps or Ukrainians getting genocided through starvation by Russians or anybody in the entire world, because the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of his commandments are, if it's against the West, it must be a good thing. That's everything that he thinks, feels, and believes, and you're eating it up because you're a well-meaning person that doesn't know how to see past shit, because I'm assuming your life has been fucking easy. I don't really know why you believe it.
And I hate to break it to Ethan, but as leftists, we know Americans might be turned off by socialism or criticisms of capitalism, so we all try to meet people where they are by making arguments that are more digestible to mainstream audiences.
Okay, okay, I just want to be very clear. What he's saying is that he admits that Hasan is lying. This guy just admit that, like, yeah, Ethan was right about Hasan's lies. He's like, Hasan would never do that. But as leftists, we do have to do that. Incredible. You're an idiot. Like, I don't even know. You're so stupid. It's just so dumb.
Rather than saying socialism, we might say social democracy or democracy.
Bro, you want to hear like the hottest take from me? That's not really that hot of a take. I don't give a fuck if we ever become communists. I do not care. I don't care what we do as long as we get to a point where it's actually good for the people. I don't think right now communism would work, and I don't think it'll work for really ever. But if we ever got to the point where it was like, hey guys, communism and everybody's working together and we love each other, that's great. I'll probably be dead by then because it's going to take a long time, but that's great. I don't care. What I do care about is being a normal fucking human being that's not an idiot and going, instead of worrying about what could be 150 years from now, what is like the best next step? Well, let's see. I pay my premium with my wife on insurance is $450 a month and a $9,000 deductible before my insurance kicks in. Thinking that like that's probably the next step because I can afford it, but you know who can't afford it? Single moms with fucking kids that have to work 2 goddamn jobs. Okay, so I'm thinking like, oh, healthcare is a problem. Hey guys, did you know like Ozempic and Mounjaro and Ozempic, all these things cost like $1,000 a month uninsured? That might be a problem. We should probably do something about this whole thing. Maybe healthcare, but you know what? Insulin is insanely expensive for people. Did you know that medications that cost like pennies on the dollar get overcharged insanely to go to people? Fuck, maybe we should do that first. You know that doctors and hospitals are fucking overpriced, and one of the reasons that they're overpriced is because schooling is too difficult and too expensive specifically. It's okay to be a little difficult, too expensive, and there's unnecessary bloating that when people go to college to be fucking doctors that they don't need so that they can get a degree to make it more difficult to get for no reason whatsoever. You know, that's one reason. You know that they'll inflate the prices of things so that insurance companies think they're getting a good deal on your, like there's so many different issues right now. And it's like, that's probably the next thing we got to deal with. But no, we got to talk about fucking communism, dude. We need to talk about what could happen 500 years from now. Right now. You're cosplaying. You're cosplaying as somebody. If you're fucking thinks that communism is good right now, you're cosplaying as somebody who's ever experienced a fucking problem in your life. Okay? Progress takes time. I want the next step. We need fucking healthcare. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, dude, you're so fucking dumb, dude. I'm gonna get stunlocked. Papa got talking about healthcare like the Humanist Report doesn't talk about this. This is why you're a fan of him, because you're a fucking moron. You're a stupid fuck, Bonnie. I don't know what to tell you, stupid fuck. Okay? I'm not making the point that I'm sure he talks about healthcare. I'm talking about next steps and not being a fucking moron communist, because it's just not practical right now. And talking about that to any normal person is going to go like, wow, you're a fucking idiot. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. It's not possible, necessary, or in any imagination right now. We need to worry about what's like the fucking 4 inches to the left that we can make. Just like you don't even know what you're talking about. Either you popped in the middle of my rant, or you're just you're too fucking stupid to understand what I'm saying. It's actually insane. It's not even insane. It's not even insane. It's just like you don't even understand how the world works. Have you ever gotten to have a job? Like, you don't understand how things work, different perspectives and people's opinions? I don't understand it. I'm fucking melting down right now. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. Do you know how anything works? What are you talking about? Jesus fuck. God damn it. All right. It's like you're missing the point. It's like you want to miss the point. It's fuck. It's why this is why it's not even worth caring about what like everybody has to say. All you can really do is just say what you have to say as intelligently as possible, as confidently as possible, with all your fucking T's crossed and your I's dotted, and then hope people are not so fucking stupid that they won't understand what you're saying. Okay, maybe one day you'll be taking a shower and you'll have an epiphany and go like, oh, now I know what this obvious thing was saying. This guy was obvious. Now it makes sense to me. It took me a month to digest it. I have those too. Shower thoughts, poop thoughts, fucking epiphanies. Oh shit, this makes so much sense. I get it. I had that about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He made a really good point one time that I didn't understand. He was talking to Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro said like, facts or something about like how something is factual. And then the guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson, went on like a whole conversation about like, what does the fact mean? What are you doing with the fact? And I never understood what it meant to weaponize facts to try to harm people, right? And now I understand it in a much better way. Okay, so go have your shower thought. Go have your bathroom poop dump thought. Okay, get off your phone and just listen to the shit coming out of your ass, and maybe you'll have an epiphany one day. And I hope that you do, and maybe you'll return one day, Bonnie. Okay. I gotta go get a drink. All right, let's get back to my wife told me I had to take a break. I gotta get a water because I was going too hard in on someone in the chat. So that's why men need women, dude. They bring us down to a good spot, not down in a bad way. Sometimes my emotions and energy are too high, and my wife helps me emotionally regulate me. She's an incredible woman. It's incredible stuff. Let's continue.
In the workplace instead, since democracy is more familiar to Americans, whereas socialism seems foreign to them. Like, we're trying to craft arguments that resonate with people, so that way they're not.
What's a good example of like socialism working? Not like democratic socialism, like Nordic countries, like actual socialism, which like pure definitionally is a transition to communism. Like where does it work well? I'm not saying that in its purest form it can't work, but like, we're human beings. We suck at doing things well, especially when there's a lot of us together. That's why pure capitalism is horrible. That's why pure communism is horrible. If people were well-intentioned, capitalism would work fine, because people would be like, oh, I have a job and I can make jobs for other people and I want to pay them well so they can live with their families. Guess what? There's a lot of really big pieces of shit. That's why capitalism in its purest form never works. It's a human condition. Communism, it's the same thing. People get into power and then they weaponize and abuse that power. We've seen it across time. It's not, the things aren't bad. It's the people that are bad trying to enact the things. So it's like, that's why you can't have pure capitalism or pure communism, because people are assholes. And so you need to make sure you balance, which is basically a balance between private enterprise and people, and the government needs to kind of have like a nice balance of power with each other, because they can do some things well in different ways. Like capitalism is good at kind of filling in holes very quickly of things that people may need, whereas as like the government takes time to be able to figure things out like that, so it's better for them to do regulation. So hot take of the century, guys. Hottest take of the century, guys. I pooped.
Susceptible to fascist radicalization. If they're going to be radicalized, we want them to be radicalized in a good way. Okay. So that way they are speaking out for social justice and economic rights, which is really important right now, since again, the fascists.
There's nothing wrong with speaking out against those things. Again, there's a difference between saying we should advocate for workers and whatnot versus like hiding your true intentions to try to push towards like literal communism. It's stupid. It's not like a big deal because nobody's ever going to like suck on to the communism thing, but it's obviously like a lie. That was Ethan's point, and he was correct about it. And you're admitting that he's correct about it while pretending that you're right. It's a weird thing to do.
Have all the power in this country. Kind of an important point. It's not deceptive. It's called fucking politics. Hasan and Ethan's audience were well aware of the fact that Hasan was very much anti-capitalist when they started that podcast. And if Ethan was somehow...
He showed them saying that he was okay with capitalism with Nordic countries. Those are still capitalist countries. Like the Swedish model is still capitalism. It just has better social, like welfare programs. So that's not true at all. What you're saying is wrong. But okay.
Ignorant to that fact, if he was somehow the only person in America that didn't know that Hasan was a socialist, well, then that's his fault.
Okay.
And nobody else's. But therein lies...
We literally watched Hasan admit that he lies about his perspective to get more people to believe him, but okay.
One of the problems. Ethan Klein is incapable of admitting that he's ever at fault. Sound familiar?
Okay. Sounds like Hasan.
While he takes responsibility for platforming Hasan, he, kind of eases his culpability there by suggesting it was only because he unwittingly was duped by Hasan and didn't know any better. Ooh. And instead of trying to understand where his audience, who respected him, is coming from and why they're frustrated with the stances that he's taking, he instead blames Hasan for their disagreement with him and chalks it up to anti-Semitism. And Hasan pointed this out during a stream after Ethan dropped his content nuke.
You mean the stream where he refused to watch Hasan, like Hasan refused to watch Ethan's video, instead watch other people's videos or other clips that people had farmed that had nothing to do with the video? You're right, dude. This is a good reference to what we're about. Let's check it out.
Constantly pointing the finger at other people. It can't be me. It can't be the broad reception of my worldview. It cannot be the way that people understand where I'm coming from. Okay, the way people have heard the same talking points over and over again from people who are genuinely deeply pro-Israel. Maybe that was the reason why people were saying that. No, it must be because of anti-Semitism. And it's like, it's not as though anti-Semitism isn't increasing. It is, okay? And it's something that I understand. It's something.
You platform it. You platform Houthi terrorists that talk about killing Jews. You don't understand it. If you understood it, you'd be careful about the way that you platformed actual anti-Jewish terrorists, right? You would bring them on and have the conversation to maybe humanize the person to understand how they got there, but you would also disavow the anti-Semitism that they promote by virtue of their existence associating with, terrorist pirates. That's how you know he doesn't understand. He says he understands, but he doesn't. He doesn't care about the way that his message is portrayed when it comes to people disliking Israel or specifically Jewish people in general. I think it's okay to dislike the Israeli government. So, Hasan is smart enough to know it's not about what you say. It's not just about what you say. It's about how you say it or what you don't say sometimes. Okay, and as somebody who claims to be political, when he's a political drama person, let's be clear, he's in the same slop factory we are. He knows how that he has to communicate correctly, or else people are going to take his words in a different way. He knows that, but he doesn't care because he's okay with people taking him in a different way. He's comfortable with anti-Semitic people being in his audience. He's okay with it. That's the reality. Okay.
Something that many of these people that Ethan has falsely smeared as anti-Semitic understand. So especially at a time when there's motherfuckers like Nick Fuentes, Jake Shields, or numerous other actually anti-Semitic monsters out there who are running rampant, hyper-focusing on people who are anti-Zionist and expressly and openly not anti-Semitic is certainly a choice.
Yeah, but according to Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker is just as extreme as Nick Fuentes.
I could see it. It's a little bit different. We know Nick Fuentes hates the Jews. Hasan pretends that he does not hate the Jews. That's the difference, is that Hasan pretends that he doesn't hate them while bringing on terrorists, literal terrorists that want Jews dead, puts no pushback on that, shows terrorist, anti-Jew terrorist propaganda, gives no pushback, doesn't defend his friend by being called a baby genocide, despite the fact that his friend is very anti-Israeli government, specifically Netanyahu. He doesn't care, right? We understand this. We have a full understanding of this. And in Hasan's defense, he's not anti-Semitic. Hasan does not dislike Jews. Hasan hates the West so much. He does not care who goes down with the ship, whether it is Jewish people or Muslim people living in China. I know I keep saying it, but Muslim people living in camps in China, being forced there, or Ukrainian people getting killed by Russians. He doesn't care. It's about being anti-West because that's his cool. That's cool, dude. That's what he likes to wear. He likes to wear anti-West, dude. That's his whole thing. That's his whole vibe. It's his whole thing. If he had a MySpace right now, it would be filled with how much he hates America. Okay?
Then you should focus all of your energy on making sure that Hasan is treated like we treat the Nazis. Don't do that to the fascists. Do it to somebody who's fighting the fascists. And on the subject of Nick Fuentes, to talk about treating Hasan like him, Ethan Klein doesn't talk about Destiny, who platformed Nick Fuentes. He has nothing to say about that in Radicalization. He only has this fire for Hasan Piker.
Yeah, again, I think that the reason why Ethan doesn't talk about Destiny is because Destiny is poison. And there's no reason to talk about him. I'm happy he hasn't had him on his platform. It's a good thing. Sure. Just to be clear, I think Destiny and Hasan are both pretty much very similar in how deceptive and pathetic and gross that they are. They're just gross in different ways, huh?
It's always left punching. But again, this is where these similarities between Ethan Klein and Cenk Uygur start to show again, albeit to a much lesser extent. So Cenk often equates the far left with the far right as if they're comparable, when they are not comparable, not even close.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree and disagree. The far right is worse, but we also call out the far right more, whereas the far left isn't as bad, but they are full of deceptive scumbags like Hasan, and people don't know, like, oh, this is actually a bad thing. But yeah, sure, true.
The far right wants a white ethno-state, whereas the far left wants free healthcare and social justice and freedom for workers. Comparing the two is tantamount to fascist apologia as far as I'm concerned, because you are sanitizing the danger that these fascists actually pose. They want to inflict pain and suffering on vulnerable people, whereas the left wants to stop that, wants everybody to be equal, wants everybody to have healthcare and worker rights.
Sure, again, but like the whole communism thing is not good for those things. That's what is like well-meaning fucking idiocy, where you guys are like, yeah, I want to advocate, and that's cool, but you guys go too far, and sometimes you'll weaponize your advocacy of people to pretend that you're a good moral person, and you'll use it as a battering ram, which is what Hasan does as he virtue signals about caring about Palestinian people, when again, he does not care about people. That's why he's okay with Muslims getting fucked up in China. That's why he's okay with Ukrainians getting fucked up by Russia. That's why he's okay. Like, he just doesn't care. I just want to be very clear here. It's just something that people need to keep in mind. He only cares about it when it's a Western force doing a bad thing.
But even as people like Ethan Klein and Cenk suggest that the far right and far left are opposite sides of the same coin, one thing that's becoming abundantly clear is that neither of them have the same...
He didn't say that they were. He didn't say they were opposite sides of the same coin. He just said that it was bad. But okay, you can keep adding the narrative. It's so interesting because people criticize reaction streamers like myself, and I think that I do a good amount of like transformative reaction to justify it. But people, they criticize reaction people like me, and I understand it. But I think one of the good things about doing the content the way I do it is that I'm not showing you less than a minute worth of an hour and 47-minute video. I'm showing you this guy's entire 36-minute and 51-second video. And if I make a mistake, you can easily criticize me because there's no context. I can't take him out of context. So you're seeing the whole thing. But this guy can do that. He's making it more digestible, but it's not actually what it was, right? Like, it's not actually, it doesn't even come close to the actual representation of the video. He's not going to show you the whole video because he knows that he'll look stupid. Because one of the big things that Ethan had said inside of his video was that he understands fully that Palestinians have been going through a greater struggle than Israelis. He just wants people to be sensitive to some degree, and that is the sensitivity of not, justifying the death of Jews to the Israeli struggle as well. That's literally it.
Same energy for the far right that they have for the far left. Okay. And David Dole actually confronted Cenk about this on Twitter after he made this tweet, which reads, we have to talk to the other side instead of just calling them Nazi or racist. Far left.
Cenk has nothing to do. Cenk is supposed to be an actual political person. Ethan is not. The fact that you're holding him to the exact same standard is strange. And a lot of this is insinuating that Ethan is just like this fucking moron Cenk Uygur. Just because they both exist in a... I don't understand. Okay, cool.
You're straw manning. We're not doing that. Then what's the problem? Far left. You're whitewashing them when you talk to them. How? Far left. By not calling them white supremacists. Now David Dole responded saying, bending over backwards to appeal to Nazis while having unhinged vitriol for the left sure is a strategy. He continues, bending over backwards to appeal to the right while attacking the left is literally what Jimmy Dore did, and we all made fun of him for it. Now you're surprised people are criticizing you for doing it? Cenk responded saying, you're still calling them Nazis. I thought you were one of the smarter ones, David. I guess I was wrong. MAGA is not destroying the Democratic Party, and
MAGA is like, I mean, I don't know if they're quite Nazis, but they're fucking insane. Not conservatives. Like, I get people are well-meaning, but these people are fucking crazy. Like, it was like we forgot January 6th where they tried to steal the election after they fucking lost. Like, it's crazy. You guys are actually insane, dude.
Ruining any chance to pass our priorities, the radical left is with lunatic positions like crime doesn't exist. David responded saying, that's a complete straw man. Please show me a video from anyone, myself, Majority Report, Fran, whoever, saying crime doesn't exist. You're just making things up. The left is also very clear about their hatred for the Democratic Party, and you know that. The argument I'm simply making is, why is your vitriol for the left so clear? And
nobody cares about Twitter arguments. You know what I mean? Like, it's not productive to have arguments on Twitter. Go talk to somebody about these things, you know?
Consistent while you go over the top to appeal to people like Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk. Cenk responded to that saying, you pretending as if all the radical left hosts were just minding their business when we, out of nowhere, attack those poor innocent folks is the biggest load of bullshit. That's why you
Cenk Uygur decided after he lost by constantly virtue signaling about how like the Republicans were all bad, and there is a lot of bad from the MAGA, but that strategy didn't work. His new strategy is to try to suck their cock off. That's literally it. It's just a strategy. Like Cenk doesn't care about anybody but himself and maintaining relevancy to his shit fucking program. So
lying like this is weird and disappointing. They attacked us with vicious lies first. David responded saying, simply not the case. Ole went on your show to discuss her perspective.
I love how this is about Ethan, and they throw like the Young Turks in there to try to get more people to watch. And it's just so fucking stupid.
Activist and attorney, and you immediately made it an adversarial interview. Anna, to her credit, was trying to keep it civil, and that was after months of attacks on powerless, as in not in positions of power, left-wing activists, trans activists, and otherwise weren't doing activism in a way that you thought was correct.
Yeah, exactly. No wonder HR's brain rot. He's a terminally online Twitter user. Of course, that's like literally is what it is. People that use Twitter unironically are actually fucking insane. Only thing Twitter is good for is porn. That's it, okay? It's not even really that good for that anymore. It's kind of boring.
Cenk responded by saying, I get it, David. You also want clicks. He says this because he has no other response to it, because David is right. Here, everybody, look at how self-righteous and morally pure David is. He also hates all rational strategies. Give him some clicks. Ole was arguing for abolishing prisons. Is there a dumber position? David responded to that with a death blow, saying, bro, looking at TYT, I think you're the one that needs clicks. I'm doing just fine covering news and politics. This won't be on my channel. You're not as important as you once were. Cenk responded to that angrily, saying, great, then fuck off. Also, why is every left-wing channel doing videos about us, and how are they the brave ones willing to call everyone Nazis, but we aren't? Make up your mind on your talking points. Are we grifters who did
oh my god, this is so boring
it for a larger audience, or is our audience dwindling? Finally, David responded saying,
this is what politics looks like to these people? Like, it's this fucking boring shit. It's so funny because like these are the moments where I look at this and I'm like, wow, Jon Stewart was right and is always right. When he went on to Crossfire and like confronted Tucker Carlson, whoever that other fucking idiot is, and he was talking about how it's all just a performance, it's all bullshit. And that's what it is. That's what this is. It's all a bullshit fucking performance people are making. They don't care about what's actually going on. They're just chasing whatever needs to be chased. Like, it's just for the fucking money, dude. It's so stupid.
Again, literally no one is saying that, LOL. You always make these claims that left-wing channels are calling you a Nazi and never produce the evidence. I don't think you're grifting. I think you've made a horrible mistake thinking you can appeal to cult members when there's a mass exodus of liberals from MSNBC that you could be attempting to move left. So as you can see from that exchange, Cenk is exhibiting a lot of the same characteristics as Ethan Klein is during his crash out too. The grievance politics, the victim complex, the left punching, the inability to ever admit that they're wrong about anything ever, the ironic allegations that their critics are the ones who are grifting and not them, the lashing out, which Ethan Klein has done quite a bit, not just at Hasan Piker, by the way. He lashed out at Ludwig for daring to point out that Ethan shared a fake screenshot in his content nuke that he sourced from Destiny's subreddit. Now he also...
Are we talking about just to be clear, I'm pretty sure they're talking about there was like a two-time, like Frogan was a two-time rising star on Twitch, and there was like a fake screenshot of like Frogan being placed onto like a card for it, and Ethan used that and like, oh, you got that from Destiny subreddit. I'm pretty sure even Hasan said, oh, he's just memeing. Like, because that's the thing too, is I actually watched Hasan's. I actually watched Hasan probably more than this guy. So even Hasan, that's what he's referring to. Is why he's being very vague about it. Even Hasan was like, oh, I know he's just being stupid and memeing. Like, didn't even take that one seriously. Are you going to show the screenshot? Nope. Noper doodles. Noper doodles. That's so crazy. Woo.
Viciously attacks Frogan for the most petty, disgusting reasons ever. He's attacked Anthony Sargon, who is a Lebanese leftist streamer who was also a former fan of Ethan Klein.
Everybody's a former fan, baby.
And he seemingly, like Cenk and Anna, reads and responds to literally every piece of criticism that he sees, which is awful because that contributes to their brain rot and accelerates the crash out. And I mean, if you're not going to listen to anybody's good faith criticism, then why even read it in the first place? It doesn't make sense to me. And it's just sad because, like, I respected all of these people at one point.
There it is. Guys, I used to really respect these people. I liked them so much, and now they... God, this like fucking fallen fan fallacy is so annoying. It's so boring, dude. I'm so bored of it. So bored. Oh my god. Ugh.
And it's sad because Ethan, Anna, Cenk, they've all chosen to further insulate themselves in different echo chambers instead of engaging with people who used to be their friends that have good faith criticism toward.
Are you fucking stupid? Ethan literally, like, effectively disavowed the echo chamber that he was living in and actively took a financial hit because of it. You sound so dumb. How could you sit here and say, oh, well, it's actually a lot of Ethan's own audience criticizing him, and then go, oh, he's sitting in an echo chamber. But if he's actively disagreeing with his audience, how is he in an echo chamber? You sound like a fucking idiot when you say things like this. Like, he can't even stay consistent in his own arguments. Oh my God, it's so fucking boring, dude. Oh my God.
Towards them. And now, so many bridges have been unnecessarily burned. Hasan offered to speak to Ethan and debate.
Ethan wanted to talk to Hasan in private about it, and Hasan like refused to do it. This was way back when it first happened. So, okay, cool. And Ethan is fine with talking to Hasan as long as he watches the video first, which he should.
Him about his criticisms. He even offered to facilitate a conversation between Ethan and Sam Cedar, and Hasan is going to explain how that offer went.
I tried changing his mind. Maybe this time I'll bring Sam Cedar. And you'll be the one saying, oh my God, Sam Cedar, what a nightmare, because, you know, you've been running away from him. Yeah, I wonder why Ethan Klein won't talk to Sam Cedar. In private correspondence.
Because you just wanted to talk to the Jew that you think is right. It's just kind of insulting to even insinuate that. Why won't you just watch the video? That's what you do for your content anyway. You watch people's videos and barely react most of the time, and you get up and go to the bathroom. So why don't you just put his fucking video on and listen to what he has to say?
I told you. I said, hey man, I know you don't respect me, because he's claimed that I wasn't like talking to him at all. So I said, hey, I don't think you respect me at all, but you respect Sam Cedar. You should talk to him. You should talk to him about.
After all this, Sam Cedar seems like a fucking cuck. Just like says whatever Hasan wants him to say because he's like afraid of his audience or something. So
that's the issue. He has a lot of.
If I was Sam, honestly, I would just like stay out of this because this is like fucking friendship beef to some degree, honestly.
Lived experience, and he said that was anti-Semitic. Everything is anti-Semitic.
And that right there.
Dude, this is the guy who calls everything fucking racist. Like, oh, sorry. You're experiencing your own fucking taste. Except that is anti-Semitic. When a fucking Jewish person has a perspective about something and you're like, oh, go talk to the good Jew about it. Like, yeah. Okay. And by the way, the perspective isn't even that differing probably from what Sam Cedar thinks. It's really just because Ethan's upset that Hasan let his audience call him a baby killer. And he wouldn't stop them. And so it's fucking crazy. Sam Cedar said he doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Good for him. That's smart. Actually, I fucking retract saying he's a cuck. Okay, Sam Cedar's smart as fuck, honestly. This whole thing is insane. There's no reason to get caught in the crossfire of this.
There's how you know Ethan Klein has lost his goddamn mind. He interpreted Hasan's offer to connect him with someone he says he respects as, oh, you just think that I'm a bad Jewish person and you want to connect me with a good Jewish person that affirms your views.
That's what that is, yes.
I mean, I feel like he's known Hasan long enough at this point to know that that wasn't Hasan's intent.
No, he's known Hasan long enough as a personal person to know that probably was Hasan's personal intent. Hasan is a deceptive, disingenuous person who doesn't care about his friends. They're just transactional units to him. That's why he has no loyalty to his friends whatsoever. If he can't do anything with them or use them in any way, he disavows them. That's why this whole thing is really happening. You know who else does that? The community that Hasan came from. Isn't that so strange? It's so strange, man. It's so fucking interesting how there's just so many people who don't understand what like actual friendship is supposed to mean. And there are times where you disavow your friends. Obviously, like there's going to be times if they go too far. But Hasan didn't think that Ethan went too far. Ethan was just upset that he wouldn't tell his own audience to be like, hey, tell them to stop calling me a baby genocide supporter. That's not what I am, and you know that. And he refused to do it. So.
And I think he was just making an excuse because he doesn't want to talk to Sam Cedar because, again, Sam Cedar knows his shit. Ethan does not.
Well, Sam Cedar apparently doesn't want to talk to him either, so.
But, you know, Ethan Klein has avoided Sam Cedar like Cenk. He's attacked Emma Vigeland, much like Cenk and Anna. And the reason why Sam Cedar is persona non grata to all of them is because, again, he is very knowledgeable and he cuts straight through their fucking bullshit. They don't want their grift and bullshit to be exposed, so they don't talk to Sam Cedar. But at the end of the day, even though all of this feels like petty drama, and it is to an extent, I do think that there's valuable lessons that we can all learn from this.
Okay.
Right? One, never have any heroes.
This guy's actually full of shit. That's number one. This guy's a fucking loser.
And also, you know, while liberals like Ethan Klein and Cenk and Anna could use
white liberals, baby,
use their massive platforms to take on fascists, they've instead let their own personal grievances blind them.
You know, Hasan's like a white leftist, right? Like he's white as fuck. Because he's Arab doesn't make him not white. Like I don't understand. Like you motherfucker. Like I know you want to kind of like use that. It's like he's using it. When he says that somebody's a white something, it's supposed to be like, oh, they live at a point of privilege. That's what he's trying to say about that. So does Hasan. He was born rich. He's still fucking rich. Like, what are you talking about? At least Ethan actually struggled as a person at some point, right? What?
From the things that really matter the most. And all of us should make sure that we never let ourselves fall that far and do things like that. You know, while they're caught up in their feelings, again, fascists are consolidating power as we speak and destroying democracy. While they're punching left, fascists are applauding them for.
Gotcha. So you could say whatever you want as long as you pretend that you like people on the left, or that you pretend to care about like people on the left, like Hasan does. Got it. 1000%. Incredible.
For doing that. Come on over to the good side, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan.
And you know, there's nothing that we can do to change their minds, clearly.
Be one of the good little Jews, Ethan.
But we can use this as a lesson for ourselves and make sure that we always recenter conversations to what matters the most. This is what Hasan tried to do repeatedly in his conversations with Ethan Klein.
Sure.
And he would remind them that their
This is obviously not true, but sure. Like at this point, who gives a fuck?
disagreements or Ethan's feelings shouldn't overshadow the genocide that's taking place. And Ethan actually mocked Hasan Piker for trying to recenter the conversation.
But just to be clear, the genocide started after October 7th, right? And it's not justifiable. But my point is the way that he poses the timeline, it's like, well, Ethan was just in his feelings, but there's a genocide happening. Ethan was in his feelings because Hamas killed, like what, over 1,000 Jewish people. The genocide hadn't really started yet, right? It's just such an interesting way that we propose this information. It's just so interesting the way that it's the information. It's not like we're a year in and then Ethan was like, it was right after a bunch of people. Like, Ethan is a fucking dual citizen to Israel. Were just killed in cold blood. They don't deserve it. Now, maybe some people inside of the government deserve something like that. I'm not going to say that's true, okay? But those people didn't deserve it. And yeah, Ethan's in his feelings. Okay, that's normal? Like, I don't understand. Why is that not something to be considered there? Hasan has no personal connection with anybody in Palestine. So Hasan, like, we should be understanding to Palestinians or Israeli people. Like, if I hear a Palestinian person chant from the river to the sea, which is obviously like saying that they want Jews to be ousted from the land, I don't think that they're horrible people, because I understand it's like very complicated. And then you're speaking from a place. You're speaking from a place of like hurt, because like the Israeli government has been fucking hurting them. So I understand why you might have like a hatred of Jewish people. I do get it. It's even if it's wrong, I get it. Right. But like Hasan doesn't have the personal connection to Israel or Palestine. He doesn't get to be emotional. Ethan does. He gets to be emotional. I don't know what else to tell you. So like he doesn't like it's just like, God forbid we are a little. People get emotional over certain topics sometimes. It's fucking crazy. These are people the first to say we need to acknowledge our emotions and everything and sort through them. And then, but until it's convenient, then of course feelings don't matter. You're just in your feelings. It's a way to dismiss somebody as if we're not people with complicated feelings, right? Like that doesn't matter. It's never part of the argument when you don't want it to be. It's pathetic.
Around genocide in his content nuke. I'll repeat that. Ethan Klein made fun of Hasan Piker for trying to recenter the conversation on the thing that matters the most. But that is exactly what he should be doing.
Whatever. This is all a lie, but okay.
And it demonstrates why Hasan Piker is a valuable voice in this space who deserves to be defended from Ethan Klein's bad faith and petty attacks. So let this be a warning to you all. In times like this, it is so important to let go of your ego and be introspective and be open to constructive criticism, especially if they come from friends, and be able to adapt and recalibrate from time to time if your focus isn't lining up with the things that matter the most. We are all human beings, so we're all susceptible to pettiness and being drama queens, and we all engage in infighting. But at the end of the day, we need to remind ourselves that that doesn't matter, and we're not the main characters.
Crazy. Wow, what a terrible video. I hope I never, ever come across any video like this again. This was vomit. This is actual fucking vomit.